Uy. Nag-text. Parating na yung guest actually in 30 minutes.
Oops. Kain muna, Vita.
Actually, came ako kumain.
Sige. Order.
Saan tayo mag-order?
RarefoodsHop.com.
Good idea. Uy, nandito na. Naka-order ka na before.
Yup. We got everything you need.
Nice website.
Yep.
Wow. They also accept all forms of payment and they have free shipping for orders above 3,000.
Game. We got meat.
They have meat, seafood, meat substitute, pang healthy. Then they also have for pets. Interesting.
Pet lovers.
Yeah. Sige, order ako ng steak.
Beef, steak. Yeah, maybe steak for tonight. But order others na din. Cubes.
I want cubes. Uy, Japanese A5 Wagyu.
In stock.
In stock. Add to cart.
Chicken.
Oh, okay. Chicken.
chicken.
We can go to chicken.
Poultry.
Chicken. Uy, may turkey for that holiday feast.
Drumsticks.
Ooh, drumsticks.
Ayan, drumsticks.
Okay.
Check out seafood.
Okay. Shrimp actually. Panggambas. Add to cart.
Shrimp. Okay.
There you go. And some sold out in tempura. Mabenta. Oh, drinks.
Drinks pa. Drinks muna.
Okay. May naitao dito. Beer, wine, and spirits.
Ay!
May alak.
For us and the guest.
Actually.
Ayan, drinks.
Yun, drinks. Dami.
Coronas.
We get a few beers.
Yep.
Add to cart.
Cuervo pang stock.
Cuervo.
Go crazy.
Naman. Tequila. That's good. Let's check it out.
We got a discount. We got a promo code SourTaste10.
Sour Taste 10. Tingnan natin kung gumagana talaga.
I hope it's not fake news.
Apply.
Boom!
Uy, we saved 1,000.
Oh, add the jasmine rice. Jasmine.
Add na yung jasmine. Add yan. Kailangan ng rice with all the meat.
Alright, let's check out.
Check out.
I wonder how long it will take before it delivers.
Wow! Ang bilis!
RarefoodsHop.com.
Grabe yung same-day delivery, ha?
Quick service. Service! Thank you to this episode's sponsor, Rare Food Shop. Go to rarefoodsHop.com and use our promo code SourTaste10 to get a discount on meat and seafood.
At Rare Food Shop, they provide the highest quality meat and seafood for your holiday needs. Order now for the same-day delivery.
Now let's get into the podcast.
With our special guest. Good conversation. Get to know other people, what they do with their lives.
It's called Sour Taste. It's nice to say, it's nice to hear. It's nice to see.
The Sour Taste Podcast.
It's gonna blow your mind, boy.
Like drip with the off-whites. Mine shit good like it's so nice. Now I'm sipping gin cause I hate wine. And I got the juice but it ain't mine. Yeah, I ain't lying. She got me so high. I gotta be mine.
Cheers. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Thanks, Artu, for...
Thanks for having me.
Sorry, IF.
Sorry,
It'll burn the whatever.
What's your cutoff? 8?
I'm not that strict anymore because I'm closest to my target target weight, but I try to still do 16 to 18 hours. So
16 to 18.
yeah.
So that's pretty much...
So like from this point, maybe 3 p.m.
You'll
tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll skip everything. The good thing about IF really is I'm skipping midnight snacking, which is really the thing that contributes so much to the weight gain. Yeah,
Like
it's
the
best.
happiest meal.
Netflix, and then the sacrifice. Like I'm not gonna eat anything.
What's your usual midnight snack like before? That's
Before, like anything ice cream, man.
Popcorn
And ice cream. So sometimes I'll have Dairy Queen set aside. I'll order before closing. I'll put it in the freezer. Or I'd have like McFlurry, like naka-standby na siya.
What?
Yeah, just a craving for ice cream.
Ice cream
Sweets
connoisseur.
talaga, no?
Yeah, sweets talaga. It's a nightmare.
But that reminds me of the Louie, right?
Yeah,
Louie. So is that why you're like, sige, I wanna get into this Louie? I mean, I love ice cream. Were you the one who built it, or?
So that was my grandfather's, my late grandfather's kind of gift to his grandchildren. So back then, during his time, there was this ice cream sandwich place in Magnolia. Robinson's Magnolia
Yeah.
area. It used to be like an ice cream factory.
Yeah.
So my grandfather used to kind of visit, and he would taste ice cream sandwiches, and he fell in love with it. And then when I was born, I'm the first of my generation, and my grandfather felt like he needed us to experience it, so he tried to make his own. He taught my mom, and it kind of became a household snack. And then we all kind of just got really obsessed with it. We didn't notice how much we ate of that sandwich. And then suddenly my mom was like, you know what, let's try to sell it in the St. James Bazaar.
Actually.
So we did. We sold it every year. My mom was from one stall of holding Angel's Breath, our cologne business, in the St. James and Zonta Bazaars. We started handling two kiosks, and from that point on, I don't know, it just became a business.
Galing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Now we don't sell anymore outside Manila Polo Club, but my mom's just kind of tired of doing the work, and I think she finds it very therapeutic for her, so she doesn't do it for work anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I'll make Artu a new flavor because it's his birthday.
So technically, a sandwich is just 2 wafers.
2 wafers and ice
in
cream in the middle. Pretty simple.
I want to try it out because I've been seeing it before. It's like, parang sarap nung
I should have brought
Louie
today.
You know, it's the right amount.
Yeah,
You think sometimes, I want more, but sometimes it's just right. If you're hungry, you get 2.
Yeah.
Because same, I'm a sweet tooth also. I'm sure you're a sweet tooth. I'm more on ice cream. Me naman more of chocolate.
Chocolates. Okay.
Yeah. Yun yung like I can binge. You know that one big almond na...
Oh shit, raisinets.
Yung ganun. Dude, I can finish that shit.
When you can't
Sarap
stop.
eh. And you watch a movie, you
yeah.
watch Netflix, boss.
I have that with Maltesers sometimes. If you have
yeah.
that pack.
That big, parang yung bucket. Pag nakita ko yun sa SNR, parang sarap nun.
Have you tried the ice cream version?
No,
It's
no,
good.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
good.
really?
It's good.
I've also
same.
tried the Nutella version of Maltesers.
What?
They have like a...
Not tell.
As in, they have it in a jar, and then they have those, diba, it's balls yung Maltesers. They have those tiny balls in the parang Nutella Maltesers. Sarap, dude. You bite it with the hot, tasty bread. Tasty bread. It's parang, may crunch. Sorry, naka-IF ko pala.
My drive home is gonna be hard.
Lazada.
Man. Sarap.
You cook?
Yeah, I do. I mean, my wife cooks better. Yeah, but I cook. I try to make her at least her favorite dishes. Like, she likes pork chop, aglio olio. She loves steak.
What a jump from pork chop.
I know, right? It's a big jump.
Toys pork chop steak.
super loves steak, but she's a much better chef than
Okay.
Her dad's like big on cooking, so
Okay.
it's in their.
So I guess you
family
never
culture.
went vegan. No.
I did.
Vegetarian?
When I got
Plant-based?
before I got engaged. I watched Game Changers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna try it. So I went plant-based for a year. I felt really good.
Oh, that's
yeah, I
long.
felt really good. And the pandemic hit, and suddenly vegetables were so expensive, and suddenly canned goods looked so good.
Because it's so easy.
And I don't need to leave the house for more than how many months. The canned goods became the conversion. I feel like.
Props to a year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was good. It felt great. I had cheat days like every Sunday, Saturday. I
Okay.
would eat meat.
Okay.
Just because the body still needs that.
Yeah.
But it was not. It was not sustainable anymore during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of suffered through the pandemic in
For
a
sure.
really
Agree.
gross way.
We all
Did you
we
guys?
all,
did
we
you guys
all
get
tried
COVID?
to
You did
got like twice.
twice.
What?
COVID.
I never got it.
Yeah, same.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
COVID, man. Yeah,
Never.
What?
I think the province life for me worked. I was living in Nuvali during the
Laguna.
pandemic.
In Laguna.
Yeah, so Nuvali, fresh air, everything,
Yeah.
major social distancing. So that was fun.
So how was your first? Was it a Zoom shoot, an online shoot? What was the first sige, my project? 'Cause I saw a few
As
it's
a
a Zoom, right?
photographer.
They're taking screenshots or what? How did that go?
Oh man,
A little bit weird.
So during the pandemic,
Yeah.
during the pandemic, I tried to do the whole Zoom shooting, and it did not work for me. I just, like what you guys were mentioning about like podcasts. it takes the fun away when you're doing a call through Zoom. It just doesn't feel fun. It feels like you're waiting for the call to end somehow. Where unlike with these ones, you kind of just want to hang out, you want to talk. So during the pandemic, I felt like I just wanted to do something intimate. I wanted to still be with shoot the same way I would shoot before the pandemic. So I didn't do the Zoom thing. I started writing this thing called light notes, where I wrote down like my experiences in my past shoots. That was kind of like my first
was that like
form
your
of therapy? Yeah.
And your kind of pandemic breakthrough, because everyone had that thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yours was like light notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pandemic project.
Yeah.
What's this website?
No, it's
Instagram.
just on Instagram.
Okay,
I just started like looking at my old stuff. I started breaking down the lighting of it, just trying to keep my head somewhat sharp. Still. Like I felt like I was rotting, rotting insanely. I'm glad it's over though.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 years since. Tagal ka rin, actually.
Can you imagine? It's been 4 years? Because it's gonna be 5 years.
Yep.
Grabe. And we're still here, and we passed everything, and we're doing great.
Yeah.
We're recovering, all of us.
Yep.
What, if I may ask, like, what for you guys was like the worst thing that happened to you during the pandemic? Was it like mind, body? Was it like, did you feel like you gained weight? Did you get unhealthy, or did you feel like your head went into a space that shouldn't have gone? It shouldn't have gone to.
Me, it was just the worry for my older relatives. I'm kind of used to staying at home if I could, no problem. The social batteries I don't need that much interaction. And then, so just the worry actually, like, when's this gonna come back? How are other people doing? Because, I was at home, we had food, I had the family, so couldn't complain much. You get you miss your friends, social interaction, and you get bored. But like, luckily, in my, at least the smaller, medium circle, nobody really got
Like bad COVID.
Bad COVID. So luckily, but I didn't have like a, thank God, like no panic attack, breakdown, or like. Actually, did more things. Discovered new. Old things. I played darts for a while. I walked my dog more like twice a day.
Oh, I love that.
Parang, those things you couldn't do because you're always out and about. I downloaded all the meditation. I think that helped also. The meditation app. So I had, because now or even before, you wake up, I gotta get going, shower, eat, get out.
Great.
That time you wake up.
It's time for work.
So I go 10 minutes, download the app. I think that helped me okay, don't worry, you're healthy, everything's good. So not bad. And I never got COVID too, so medyo on the, not the worst cases.
Not the worst. Yeah. For me, it's I just did, because it was just me and my mom.
Okay.
So it's just the two of us. So of course I didn't want to like give her COVID.
Yeah.
So, like, my first experience of going to the supermarket, I felt like a fucking hero, dude. As in, sabi ko, ma'am,
Naka full suit ka.
wala na full suit. As in, nas like, normal outfit.
Normal,
and then, syempre, face mask. Tapos, yung face shield, naiya pa ako. Pero parang kailangan mo siya. Because the face shield is so stupid.
Throwback, no?
So stupid.
I had the Dr. Shield, the gigantic thing, the welding mask. I had that.
Buffalo Power, I got the blue or the red, like the hell, robot.
Yung may kulay.
Oh my God.
Parang Tron na. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I also like the experience. Parang, you go out, first time I went to South Supermarket, alcohol, that whole cart. Yeah. And then I went back home. I was like, okay lang kaya ako? And I was like, okay, I'm pretty good.
Like, am I clean?
Yeah, I'm
like,
clean,
no
shower. But luckily, like, I didn't give COVID to my mom. Hindi siya nahawa.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, but for me, as I'm an extrovert, so I really needed to also talk to people, see people. So that was a hard thing.
Yeah.
Especially like knowing like now my fiance used to live in BF. Yep. To drive there, parang ang hirap.
Yeah.
You can't see her, you just message, FaceTime a lot. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's that human touch and connection that was lacking.
Yeah.
So that's why Zoom was there.
Yeah.
Zoom Newman, it's fun, but
to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, diba?
With limitations.
People can just leave if they want to. Because now,
Yeah.
I think the worry the worrying disappeared also. Because every week you're like, diba, extend 2 weeks, extend 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I was in a work meeting. We were early with a couple of office mates that are friends. Like, sabi niya, 1 year pa to. Then it hit me like, fuck, it's possible. Because I was like 2-3 months. And then when I accepted, okay, this is long term. Okay, let's adjust.
Yeah.
Let's just you really can't do anything. You can't go out. You have an ID, but if you have to go out, just write it out and then be healthy.
But yeah, I was going to the office during the pandemic.
Wow.
Because I had that.
Oh, really?
Pass. Because
Yeah,
we're in pharmaceuticals. Like
Yes.
where I work.
Right.
So I passed Lex. Parang grabe to.
Ghost town.
Ghost town.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was able to meet up with some friends because they also had the pass. In Commerce Ave, park lang kami doon, dude. As in, it's just
Hang.
us and just hang for like a few minutes.
Yeah.
Just talk and then uwi na.
Like in the
I'm
movies.
sure that was so helpful.
That was so helpful.
sure.
Super.
Yeah, that like just rejuvenized the everything.
Yeah. Seeing someone only through phone or something like, wow,
Yeah, no.
grabe.
Was that your the year you got married? Jan, right?
Yeah,
2020?
So Meg and I got
Oh,
married
yeah.
January 2020. We were living in New Valley. I mean, I was living in New Valley for 3 years already at that point. Meg moved in with me right after we got married, January 6, January 10. She moved in with me, and then Taal erupted.
Oh, yeah.
I
And
know.
then Taal erupted, and our village or New Valley was like ground zero for the ashfall. So we had to evacuate. So we evacuated and we lived with Meg's parents for around 2-3 weeks. And then we went back to New Valley. We kind of we had no time to settle down. You know, we were still rearranging the house for married life and everything.
Yeah.
So we were rearranging everything, and then suddenly, boom, lockdown. So from getting kicked out of New Valley, we suddenly got stuck. And because we were living in New Valley, we had the borders on Slex.
Yeah.
So we couldn't
Yeah.
cross. We had no IDs. We had no pass.
Oh.
So for a good 1 year, we didn't see our family. Like our parents, it was all through Zoom.
It's not really 1 year, really.
Yeah, for a whole year. And during that time, my Meg's dad got COVID. Meg's mom got COVID, and then my dad had really bad COVID, like critical level, and he had to go to. We had to get him an ambulance to go to the valley, and that's the only time I could see him from
From a distance.
30 meters away.
Yeah.
I just saw him come out of the ambulance and get back in. It was critical, so that was kind of a nightmare. And then it was just super wild. And my grandfather, he passed away during the pandemic, not due to COVID, but I think that was probably the weirdest experience, watching having like a wake through Zoom and watching like
That's true.
seeing your family members, like all their faces, like
Little
when
squares.
you're in a wake and you're seeing someone pass away or something, you're kind of focused on the person who passed away you're looking at, and you're focusing on how you feel.
Yeah.
But when you're in a Zoom call, you see what's happening and you see every single person's emotion, and that's just nuts. That's just like a wild thing. I was like, wow, okay, this is one for the books to say in a very lighthearted way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shift
That
gear.
was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were really close to your grandfather, no?
Oh, super. He was like my. I think I'm a photographer because of him. I can't lie. Yeah. He's responsible for everything that's happened, and he's still responsible for everything that is happening.
Up until now,
up until now.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he's my teacher. He taught me everything, and he was a filmmaker. So I think you have memories with him, right?
Yeah.
So for anyone listening, if this camera, so oh my god, I'm gonna shift the gear, shift this conversation
do
very
it.
slightly. So so Jake and I are not related, but Jake's first cousin is my first cousin also.
Yeah.
So we're related, not in that way, but we knew each other since we were kids. Actually,
Yep.
the first time that I saw.
It's cool at all.
The first time I saw Warcraft was watching Jake play.
Was that why? I don't even remember that.
In Tito Cobos, in our uncle's house. Jake was in the corner of Tito Cobo's room. He's playing Warcraft, and I just sat down. I was like, "What's that? Oh my god!"
First
And
immersion
then,
to video games.
so I knew Jake since we were kids, and we kind of grew up together, in and out, like guest appearance in each other's lives. And then in high school, this is gonna be the first time you're gonna hear this. So in high school, I remember there were some students that, in the transition of high school from grade school, we had students from TLC, from Zobel, who went to Montessori, and I was studying in Monte. And then, so, Miko Abiera, Chespino, like different people. And I remember there's one classmate. I'll just keep her anonymous. You
can tell us later.
And she was like, there's this guy.
I hope it's
There's
good.
this guy, and I met him in one of the house parties, obviously South house parties. He's so cute. He's so cute. And then he said, what? And I was like, what's his name? Out of curiosity, supportive friend naman ako. I was like, what's his name? His name's Jake Bocanegra. And then I was like, I remember that moment. It was like a long, silent moment for me because I was contemplating on what I would do
And what you would say.
And for some reason, the song "Runaway" by Linkin Park played in my head. And there's a very beautiful line there that says "guilty by association." And in my head, I'm like, parang I changed the word. It's like "guapo by association." So it's like, yeah, he's my cousin. So, like super pogi points in my end. I was like, yeah, Jake's my cousin. And she announced, he's the good-looking guy. And I remember the next time I saw Jake, I super made, like next time I saw you in Zobel or something, I was like, made super like sip to you. I was like, Jake, like acting so close. And we were never that kind of relationship. And I was like, yeah, it's my cousin.
How come I've never heard about this girl before, man?
Better grab si Jake.
I thought I was like, this is a scary story. First time marinig. Damn.
He was worried the whole time. Parang,
Nice.
ano sasabihin ni Artu?
So worried and curious, like, ooh, what's this?
Baka pwede ko siyang i-chat today.
Hey, I heard.
Hey, I heard from my cousin.
20 years after.
You found me cute.
But yeah.
Wow.
Cousins na not, but yeah, somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fun
I'm
stuff.
sure you pretty much are kind of like cousins already. You see it that way.
Yeah. I mean, family na rin.
Family pa rin.
Family na rin.
And not to mention that, like our common family member, Kobo, like I'm super close to him. And Tito Kobo was also
Jacko's dad.
Jacko's dad. It was also very, he's such an outgoing person, and he really puts so much effort with his wife's side, Tita Kaisa, and Jake and everything. So they're all so close. So he naturally kind of just brought his side of the family to meet their side of the family so easily. So it was a really nice thing. And honestly, like I grew up seeing this bond with his family, with Jake's family, Jake's clan rather.
Yeah.
That was so nice. It was so contagious because they're so close. You guys are ridiculously close. It was new to me because my family were not like that. We're very prim and proper Bridgerton type of family. Like to talk to my mom, sometimes I'd have to like give some form request from audience. Yeah, it was that kind of formal. So it was a nice thing to witness you guys like that. Pretty
And likewise, dude, there were a few times because Jacko stayed with us college time because his parents were abroad. So here, South, Artu's from here. I'd get to hang out in the dungeon a few times. That's what they call their hangout place in his house at the basement.
Yeah.
The dungeon. There'd be a lot of guys.
Parang saya dun.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Technically, it was at the basement of my parents' place, which my grandfather wanted to be a chapel. So there's this kind of interesting look to it because there's like a big altar on one side. And then on the other side, just a bunch of guys doing really stupid shit. So, yeah. But yeah, Jacko was kind of showing us around and making us learn how to stay young.
To stay young.
Yeah.
Because everyone in your family, like Tito Kobo, that's the
Jacko's dad.
Jacko's dad, but that's your mom's...
My mom's youngest brother.
Youngest brother.
Yes.
So, you see the artistic or creativeness within them also?
Yeah, I think so. Like, growing up, my Tito Kobo actually, he would put so much effort. So, my family traveled a lot back then.
Yeah.
My grandfather wanted to expand his cologne business on a global scale. So we went to Hong Kong, we went to Europe quite a number of times. And I was lucky, I guess, in a way. I was still a baby. I was very young. And I traveled with them. And one of my core childhood memories was that Tito Kobo actually put effort in documenting family videos on an obsessive level, like
Until now.
until now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, until now. And he put so much effort. Like he'd make 2-hour films, just like
Wow.
the montage of the family get-togethers. And back then, like now, he probably does it with an iPhone and everything. But back then, he would bring like a production level camera, like hold it.
Wow.
Like a
sho-
TV
the
crew.
shoulder
Is it like the shoulder type?
yeah.
Not even like the handheld
No,
kind
like-
of cam, but like this? Wow.
Really. And Europe, Hong Kong, we'd be walking. We want to save money. We walked because we were a big family traveling
Yeah.
to Hong Kong. So we wouldn't take cabs. We would walk from place to place, block to block. He would carry that thing around, and he'd document everything from walking to eating to the meeting. It was wild.
Wow.
He did
No
that.
GoPros and
No,
phone cameras
And
then, so
it was I'm not sure if it was a tape or if it was a CD
Yeah.
that was recording it, but he had a bag that carried all of that stuff.
Switch CD po na.
Yeah, batteries,
Wow.
everything. He put so much effort. It was crazy. And I think my whole family, they kind of all revolved around creativity that my lolo kind of like helped sculpt. So like my other uncle, he was an architect and now he's a sculptor. So he does like a lot of he has a lot of shows and he sculpts a lot. So it's pretty interesting. I think I'm the only one who kind of pursued it on a professional level.
Yeah.
Like a serious thing, because I lived with my grandfather, so he was really brainwashing me from day one. Be like, you gotta learn this, you gotta learn that. So
on paper, your grandfather is made films.
yes,
A
so
photographer, also director.
so my great grandfather S01E08 Nepomuceno is on paper he is the father of Philippine cinema.
Yeah.
So with that title means he made the first ever Philippine film.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the
Yes.
Yeah.
First
Seriously,
ever
plus.
Philippine film.
As in like, wow.
yes.
Is that the, what's the name? Of his first film?
So dahil isang bulaklak is my lolo's first film,
Your
which
lolo's
was
first film, yeah.
passed down by my great grandfather. S01E08 Nepomuceno wrote that, and he told my grandfather that I can't make this film for my time because technology won't allow me to.
Wow.
So I'm gonna pass it to you. So my grandfather decided to make that film because it had to be shot in colored. Yeah, color. So dahil sa isang bulaklak was there.
Yeah.
Dalagang Bukid was my great grandfather's first ever film. But my great grandfather, his first ever project was he actually, not sure if it was filmed or photographed, the funeral of the first lady of President Quezon or
Wow.
something like that.
Yeah.
It was a funeral. So that was his first assignment, not
Ever.
as a film.
Yeah.
But my great grandfather started purely as a photographer. He actually opened a
Okay.
studio in Manila called Parhelio Studios, which was the biggest portrait studio in Manila back then.
What year was this?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Because like great grand and
I'm
like first
thinking
job
like
damn.
1920
You gotta check it out.
something.
You gotta
I would-
Google that
I would
later.
guess.
So I know I have the numbers, but I can't. It's not coming to me now. But yeah, he made the first. He made a big photo studio, and he called it Parhelio because it was literally bringing light into the studio. My great grandfather was an electrician. He knew how to work with
light.
lights and everything. So he created this. Shucks, I can't remember what it's called, but.
Yeah.
The same technology back then as welding. He was able to bring that light as a light source inside the studio, so that would provide feel like the sun inside the space. So parang you're like the sun.
Wow.
Yeah, so that became a thing. Then he became a filmmaker, and then he passed it on to my grandfather, who was the only one from his siblings who wanted to become a filmmaker. And my grandfather started making movies back to back to back.
Yeah.
And then eventually the story goes in a very negative path, as there was a lot of drama and history with the Marcoses. But I think we can save that story for another day.
Yeah.
It's very dark. Yeah, fun.
Do you even know like what type of cameras your great grandfather used?
Yeah, so
Or do you still have like one of his?
I have some of
I was
them.
about to say, I doubt, but really?
Yeah. They don't work anymore, obviously, but they're memorabilia. Like I have a lot of them actually. So my grandfather, once upon a time, he ran a production company called Nepomuceno Productions. And Nepomuceno Productions was not just his film making space, but it was also kind of like an equipment rental kind of thing.
Okay.
And also like a production, so foreign clients could come in and basically book my grandfather's
equipment,
business for everything. So that's how my grandfather became friends with like Francis Ford Coppola. And my grandfather would have conversations with the director of Sound of Music, director of Godfather, and they recognized him. They would go to awards and recognize my grandfather, and it was just a wild thing to hear.
It's super,
High praise, and these are people like at the top of their game in Hollywood, So my grandfather was really known for that. And going back to the equipment, there's some things that my grandfather can let go of. So there's some lenses, some cameras, some things that I have at home. Actually, some of them are at home, and they're just there, naka-display.
Naka-case.
And I feel like there's part of his experience there. So if I feel like I need to recharge, I'll just touch it. And
No need for any crystals I got in here.
It's my healing stuff. So fun stuff. Like really, really cool that he still had that kind of equipment. Yeah.
So when you said your grandfather was like quote unquote brainwashing, was it like literally, oh Artu, I got you a camera, try it out, try this thing, or like subconsciously like you'd see him take photos and then, oh I want to do that, I want to try that out.
You know what, the point of holding the camera came very late. I would say in like his lesson plan, I guess. I don't think he wanted me to really think of it as anything serious, or he didn't want me to get into the craft on a serious level.
Professionally.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, what he would do was like growing up, we had a house. He had a house in Tagaytay, so he loved to drive. He loved to move. It was part of his, I don't know. It was part of his routine to always travel, to move, be on the road. He loved to drive. So if, example, we were driving on EDSA, or we would be driving, let's just say, for example, driving on a sunrise in EDSA, and then during the sunrise on EDSA, you'd see the light coming through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then the dust of the cars kind of filling and creating these rays of light. He would make me understand the science and why that happened. So he would say, where is that light coming from? So I'd say like that's coming from the sun. Why is it here and later when we go back home at like 12 it's not the same. I said, okay, I have to point out why, because the sun is moving. And he said, why is there a ray of light? So I'd have to at that point kind of question
dissect everything.
Like, it's because of the dust, or it's because of the pollution. So things like that he tried to make me understand on a daily basis. So he'd make me look at the city and be like, why is there
building your eye?
Yeah, like why is there light falling on these people here? And then I'd realize it's because the sun is hitting the glass of a building and it's bouncing into this side, even if the sun's not hitting me directly. And he'd make me understand that on a very basic principle. So it became super second nature for me to kind of like anywhere I go, I have to understand where's the light coming from.
You assess the light. Everything.
And then suddenly one day he said, I bought a camera for myself, like not for him, not for me, for him. And he said, you can borrow it once in a while. And I had no interest in touching it. I was like, okay, cool, nice. And then his eldest son got married, and he said, he said, I have a job for you because my knees are tired. He said, can you hold this video camera and can you just shoot? And I was like, okay. It wasn't even a photo. It was just a video cam. So I shot, and then to his surprise, he found me bending my knees, like very stabilizing myself. And it came out super naturally. And that was from observation, because going back to Tito Cobo, he would do it all the time. He'd bend his knees and record. So I kind of instinctually, I knew how to do it. And then my grandfather was surprised. He saw the footage, he loved it. And he started, at that point on, he started making me hold the camera a bit more seriously. He said, just take pictures for fun. Like, travel with me. I need photos of myself doing this, that. Okay, shoot. And then suddenly, I started taking it seriously in high school. I started a camera club. My high school was so small. We were how many are you guys in your batch?
Close.
Oh my God, we're like 40 per class times 8.
Times 8. I'm 14 times 1. So that's us. So starting a camera club meant it was just me plus 2 more people. And so I took it so seriously. But when I graduated high school, I didn't think there's any money in photography. I didn't think there's any money. Like, honestly, I only thought there was money in music as a creative space because of actually watching you guys.
Bands.
Well, at that time the bands were like really peaked.
Because you guys were a band together, diba?
I'm not. I'm just out just a roadie.
But the gig scene was so big back then.
It was
we
fun.
were kids, diba?
Yep.
So I was like, the only way for me to make money in a creative space is through music. And I could play guitar, but that it's nothing serious about that. So I took culinary arts. I took culinary arts because I had no other path. It was either basketball or and I was like, parang beside
Nepomuceno for 3
and parang
in another world.
beside Espina or David Webb. There's a height difference here.
Let me cook.
Let me cook something else. So I went to culinary arts in college and I hated it, honestly. Like, hated it not because
You like to cook at that time?
I love to bake. I love to bake.
So you wanted to be a pastry chef?
I wanted to become a pastry chef. I had zero interest in butchery or anything. But when I went to culinary arts, I found out the reason why I hated it was I saw everyone in class was so passionate about food. They would talk about how they would mix this ingredient with this ingredient, and they would talk about it for hours. And all I wanted to do was go home. So I was like, something's wrong here. And if I want to succeed in life, this is not the space for me. So luckily, I was signed up in a carpool with a bunch of people who were also in the SDA, the arts building. So I became friends with them. They started inviting me to the SDA, and I just fell in love with the space. The bunch of creatives, people dressed up weirdly. People
expressing themselves.
Yeah, expressing themselves.
The building itself, compared to other buildings. Yeah.
Exactly. It was just so interesting. I found the energy so cool. Just like I would assume how someone falls in love with the kitchen. Like, that's how I felt. I love the chaos of like everything going on. And then on my way back one day from the arts building, I came across this poster, which was just like a photography contest. I joined it. I beat a lot of photography students, and I was like, okay,
Wow.
maybe I can do this. So I went home. I told my grandfather, I want to become a filmmaker. Still super stubborn. Stubborn that I didn't think there's any money in photography. It's like, maybe as a filmmaker, movies are being made. Back then,
And I guess with his background to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Tips.
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna become a filmmaker like you. And then we were over in dinner, and he was like, no.
No.
Nah, you can't. No, he goes, no, you have to take photography. And I was like, okay. Kind of angrily, I said, why? And he goes, if a movie is a story of 1,000 images, then you have to be able to tell a story in a single image first. And I was just like, fuck.
Yep. That's so true.
Yeah. Okay. So ever since then, it was just really like...
that was like wisdom there.
No, it changed my life.
Yeah.
From that point on, I think that's why I was mentioned earlier, like, he's still changing my life.
Yeah.
Because that's my daily goal now, just to hunt for stories of people and just really get to know them on a very personal level. And I think the fun part about like doing portraits and everything is actually finding trigger words, or trigger emotions that suddenly it's a memory that you had completely forgotten, and it's so special to you. And I feel like that's kind of my goal as a photographer, to get to know you, to talk to you, and to find what kind of triggers you. So as a quick example is when I shoot someone, I ask them immediately. Well, first, if I shoot in their house, I stop. I go around like a weirdo.
You really go around.
I look at what's on
Open the
display. Yeah, stuff like that. So sometimes I can point out, like, if I go to someone's space and I see they have a lot of photos of their family, I can immediately, obviously, you can say that they're a family-oriented person. But there's a lot of people out there who, instead of family photos, it's career achievements, awards, everything. And then at that point, maybe I shouldn't talk about family. Maybe I'll talk about their career path or their big goals in life.
Their achievements.
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. And sometimes I'll go the opposite way. If I'll still like dip my toes into the water and be like, what's your think about your parents, and then I'll kind of see like maybe a twitch or something that they're uncomfortable with, and I won't talk about it unless I want to pull it out of them. Like, let's talk about your mom, like, and then let's say they have mom issues, let's address it. And then suddenly the portrait becomes super on this different level of frequency, because they're suddenly looking at the camera not as a camera, but they're looking at a mirror. They suddenly see themselves getting emotional. They become super conscious, and it'll be my job to kind of make them feel very safe through music or through something very deep. And then suddenly they get this sigh of relief that they were able to talk about it. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting process.
Super.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was about to ask, is that how you usually do it, the process? Because I thought basic, set up the lights, dress up, smile, look here. But there's an interview, get to know.
It wasn't my process
connect type.
For the longest time. It wasn't like, because before it was just do the job. I think for 10 years it was just really do the job, get paid. I've been shooting. I'm hitting my 12-year mark soon. But my 10 at first, let's say 9 years. For 9 years, I was doing the job. Every once in a while, I would get moments where I can explore a narrative or explore a story. But most of the time, I was hired to be a photographer. And
to do a job.
And there was too much risk of losing work opportunity that I couldn't take very gutsy moves. Once in a while, maybe like this cover or this magazine shoot. Excuse me. And it would be maybe a little more gutsy, but it wasn't super gutsy.
Okay.
And then suddenly, Apo Whang-Od happened. The Vogue cover happened. And when that happened, oh man, my life changed. Like it was an overnight thing.
I know I wanted to ask the timeline of events. When it's posted, the virality, the DMs, the increase, damn.
My world changed, honestly.
Yeah.
Overnight. And I felt like, how people say this is your 15 seconds of fame, or it's your overnight sensation. And I felt so good about how this all happened, because I had 10 years of credibility. I've been it's not that I had not voiced myself. I just kept it. I just played it safe. I was doing what I can when I could. If the opportunity came that I could speak or voice out the story, I would. But when Apo Whang-Od came out and it went viral and the stories just exploded, everything that happened, suddenly the next set of months when I would enter the room, people were listening. And that changed. That changed. Suddenly I was like, how do you want to photograph this? And I'll be like,
You're asking me?
Yeah, like, you don't need me to just shoot it?
Yeah.
No, like we want you to photograph it the way you
Tell
want
me
to.
how to
Tell
do
me
it.
how to do it.
So basically, that's that perspective that you said earlier. You only started that after that one.
Yeah, because the power was there. Suddenly, it was expected.
But before, you never tried to at least or I'm sure you did.
I would do it once in a while.
It wouldn't work.
There was no, I would say, for one, I guess the credibility wasn't enough, and the authority to do it was also. It was sort of like, respecting the process was hard. You know, like if I would start asking very uncomfortable questions to open up deeper
Certain door.
layers of
Yeah.
the conversation, these people would easily just be like, I don't want to do it. But suddenly, because of the Apo Whang-Od credibility, you'd be like, no, he shot Apo Whang-Od.
Whatever he asks, he
whatever's
does.
gonna happen, he's getting there.
Damn.
So suddenly I was like, okay. So after that, I really had to, kind of in the simplest way, I had to up my game. You know,
Yeah.
I had to allow myself to explore these more philosophical ways of doing photography and portraits because, for one, people were kind of expecting it. And even when we did Apo Whang-Od, it was the most simplest way of photography. Like, I couldn't really have a conversation with her.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like,
there's-
how were you able to?
Yeah, there's a language barrier between
No
us.
Filipino?
No, she's more Ilocano.
Ilocano.
And
That's hard.
and
dialect.
completely honest, I don't have the best Filipino. I'm from Alabang. Guys,
Shout out to the South Boys. Yup.
Taga-Ayala Alabang tayo. Diba? So, there's this language barrier, but so shooting that was the simplest form, but I guess I was just being as honest as I could with the photograph, and it resonated, and the photo was as honest as it could be. So suddenly, all the shoots that came after that, it didn't require just honesty, but it required the voice. Like I needed to be able to interpret that honesty into words and instruction. And I think that's the hard part, instructing how to be honest. I think that's really
That's true.
hard. And
Honesty is hard.
yeah, honesty is hard. It's
Weird, no?
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be like
We're not
difficult
You're supposed to be an honest person, but then being honest is so hard to do.
Exactly. Like there's this podcast between clip that I saw between Jonathan Bernal and Shia LaBeouf.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen that one. And this is the part where Shia LaBeouf starts breaking down, and he said this very, very beautiful line. He goes, he was talking about how this person in his life was there for him when he was going through rehab, and then he just basically said, it's really the ministry of presence. So that line really stuck to me. Ministry of presence. That's such a powerful thing, just in the sense that the best way for you to activate someone's honesty is by actually being present, by listening. No phone, no distractions. You really, and you don't. It's not
connection.
like, it's not the type that you're holding your phone,
Yeah.
you put it down and be like, "What's up?"
No.
No, it's really like from the
Setting it
get-go,
away.
you know
Yeah.
that this person is going to listen to you.
We're gonna connect.
We're going to connect. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
And I'm here for you.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
here to listen. I'm also here to, give advice, maybe
Exactly.
opinions.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I think now that's kind of like the mission, I would say, with what I'm doing with photography. I can't say that I'm the best. I think there's so many photographers, Joseph Pascual, Shira Luna, who are just doing such killer jobs out there, and they have their own different approaches. So I feel like what I'm doing is just like, little steps to helping people one person at a time.
So
Yeah.
did photography become more spiritual or deeper? What's the
Yeah.
actual word? Like after the Whang-Od, okay, there's more into it now than just clicking and taking photos.
At the same time, Meg, my wife, pointed it out. There was a sudden unconscious expectation where every time I entered the room, they expected a Whang-Od level. And
No pressure.
Yeah, I'm sure there would be because
Yeah.
they're like,
naturally,
we
yeah.
hired Artu. He
Yeah.
shot this.
Yeah.
He should be able to provide.
It's like
Right,
a rock star
exactly.
just made a hit there. Oh,
Yeah.
what's
Yes,
your-
Oh.
exactly.
Yeah.
When's your next hit? That's kind of it. And I guess in a way it
that's heavy.
was super tiring, and I had to actually. This is the first time I'll get to talk about it in like a public space.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to do this with you guys, where it's tiring, like to provide that energy, to be there it's not the Whang-Od level photograph, but it's actually the mindset and the purity of being there for someone, especially if they're strangers.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Like
Yep.
I meet I enter the room, I meet someone for the first time, and it's my job that by the end of the day they've healed.
You're connected.
We're connected, and sometimes
It's a hard task.
sometimes the weight of it is really that they will give me so much of their energy, both good and bad, that on my way home I have to go through this kind of like purging process where I'm driving home alone, or I have to go to a random strange place and just really be like, is what I'm feeling mine or is it theirs? Is it remnants of theirs? Because sometimes, if example, someone's talking about grief or like they lost someone and they want, like I photographed someone some time ago. She wanted a portrait of herself because she was suddenly so conscious of her age because someone that she loved passed away. They were the same age, and and when she had this realization that I want to immortalize how I look now. And we went through the process of photographing, and she got emotional. You know, when she gets emotional, you
get emotional.
Kind of your job.
You're
also.
empathic.
Yeah, super. It's not just your job; it's your moral obligation to be there and be emotional with them to match that frequency.
Yeah.
So you get emotional, and then suddenly we exit. She's good. She feels great, and suddenly on my way, I'm driving home, just like fuck. I feel terrible. I feel so bad. Yeah, and suddenly
it's a lot to take. And,
sponge it up. Yeah. And sometimes, if I know that it's good energy or energy that I can thrive on, I'll put it in a tank somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll put it somewhere else and be like, this is fuel for another shoot. But sometimes I have to just go somewhere. You know, I'll go.
You need that like
just
just
deplete that.
like kind of like
pagpag. Exactly.
Yeah.
Really pagpag. Let it out.
Yeah, just let it out.
Because if you're talking about grief and like all the heavy negative dark type, that's
And at the same time, you don't want it to
all
be
in one afternoon.
You don't want to bring it home.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to like I have my Meg has created such a beautiful atmosphere in our home. I don't want to go home and be like, it's heavy.
It's heavy.
It's terrible. So
I didn't think of that. Oh, wow.
But yeah, in a way, that's the story that
Yes.
you're also looking for. I mean, for sure, so many people ask you, "Can you take my photo?" Whatnot. But there's always that story that you have to bring home. And what have you ever cried?
Oh, always, man.
Always.
Yeah. Like I've
Of joy and
Both.
Both.
So one cool story. One story that I have is so this was a Vogue shoot. We shot I think it was the August issue. It's called Women Who Launch.
Yeah.
So it was a cover that followed Apo Whang-Od. It was a bunch of elderly women, lolas, and the cover actually was Dr. Dolores, who was a flower is named after her. She's a scientist, and she was the cover, and that was a whole series of shooting different lolas, basically. It's a super beautiful shoot, and I came in already with the mindset, you know, this was post Whang-Od, so I already had certain methods in getting into that kind of moment.
Psyche.
Yeah, really. So like I had it in my head that, you know, I'm gonna photograph my lola. Like this is my lola. I'm gonna make it very intimate. Shooting like Lola Paching. Like it's someone very close to my heart. And photograph them with a certain level of emotion. So I was prepared to go there. And then one of the people that we shot, her name slips my mind. Alice Reyes. Oh my god. So I think her name, Alice Reyes, if I'm not mistaken. She was a ballerina. She's a former ballerina. And the way we set up our shot for her was we put an apple box in the middle of the set, and she got up. She's wearing this beautiful dress that Pam Quinones styled. And my method of shooting to get everyone in the same frequencies, I play classical music. So Nessun Dorma, Claire de Lune.
Every shoot or like
Not every shoot.
Okay.
Not every
Depends
shoot.
on okay.
Depends on the level of energy the
Needed.
subject requires.
Okay.
But most of the time, for myself at least, I need to listen to get into the zone. So
Yeah.
so anything that can be done in a slow-mo murder scene, that's the soundtrack. So Ave Maria, you name it, stuff like that. Anyway, so we were playing, really filling the room with so much of that Claire de Lune energy. And then there was a moment where, so basically she was doing ballet poses as a lola, but she was having a hard time. She was struggling. Someone was holding her, and then suddenly it hit a point where she was just purely listening to the music, and she was moving like a swan. It was so beautiful.
Wow.
And I kid you not, I was tearing up behind the camera, and what kind of made the experience kind of closed that experience was people behind me were crying also. Wow. So we were all just witnessing something beautiful.
That emotion.
Yeah, it was just something purely beautiful, like watching someone who has been on this earth for quite some time, and she's just doing
Being
what
a little
she loves.
girl again, I'm sure.
Exactly that. It was like we watched her jump back in time, and it was such a beautiful thing to see, and we got so emotional, we were crying, and that shoot wasn't supposed to become a cover story, but Bea was there, the editor-in-chief, and she was beside me, and I think she just had this realization that this shoot was too special to not become a cover. So a couple of weeks later, I get a message from Bea on Instagram, and it's like a teaser to the cover release. And I looked at it and I was like, wait, those are the props that was in my shoot. And then an hour later, it was the cover. And I was like, oh, wow. It's just that powerful of a story.
Props to you and the team to make the lighting, the music, the concept. Because you crying, I would get, but look back. Oh, everyone's
feeling
the same thing.
She was just really in with her element.
Super.
In that moment, she was like, this is. I'm sure she also emanated like, this is my shoot.
Yes, exactly.
And I just want to show who I was, and I'll just play around and be a swan. Wow.
Exactly.
I'm sure that was a very beautiful moment. I could imagine. Is it just you telling the story? Like, oh.
Yeah. And what's great is these things are happening a little bit more frequently. I don't think it's because we found a way to do it, but I think I honestly feel like people are more open to having these conversations. Like just a while ago when we were talking about the pandemic, like I don't think, like Jake, you talking about meditation, I don't think you would have been able to talk about that 20 years ago. Because it wasn't an accepted thing. Meditation, like what?
Yeah.
It's like a
Why
weird
you
practice.
meditate?
Just like how, like if I talked about seeing a psychiatrist, like now that's normal. But if I said that 20 years ago or when we were all together in high school,
you're crazy.
You'd be like, you're weird.
Yeah.
Like, something's wrong with you, diba? Yeah. So I think nowadays people are more accepting that we do need help.
The norm is different.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But now that you also have that voice, right? I mean, I see it in a lot of your shoots, like Vogue or whatnot, and I see also you have Waves for Water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what is Waves for Water? I know it's to provide clean water to communities that don't have or don't have access to it, right?
Yes.
How did that come about?
Thank you for bringing that up. I love that I get to plug that in now. So Waves for Water is an organization, exactly what you said. We provide water filters to communities that need access to clean drinking water. Okay. The very firm belief is that clean drinking water is a basic human right, which it is. Access to clean drinking water is something that everyone needs to survive.
Yeah.
But to our surprise, so much of the Philippines, and actually maybe even so much of the world, doesn't have access to what we call clean drinking water, clean water, because, well, the world has changed. We're not anymore living in the times of the textbooks that we grew up reading. Water is by default dirty.
May amoeba yan.
Yeah, so actually I had a recent conversation with someone who even said back then we could say that walking under the sun was healthy. Nowadays it's not. You can't. You need to sunscreen, and you can't.
Yeah.
Like you need something to cover
sun.
you. It's different. The world is changing. Nature is changing, and so with that, there's the need that people need to have access to clean drinking water, and that's what we do. So the water filters are gravity powered, so it doesn't need to require electricity. And it's set to last for 10 years. And that can that can then provide for 100 families. One small filter, it's the size of this microphone.
Wow.
To provide 100 families for 10 years. And it's gravity fed, and the cleaning method is backwashing, so you don't need any fancy equipment, and it works the same. It works in the same system as like a kidney dialysis. So it's just imagine thousands of micro nets where
Just filtering it out.
So that's what it does. And Meg and I have been doing it for 8 years.
Wow.
Oh, it's been that long.
Yeah, so it started actually as a story for a magazine. The country head back then, Carla Delantar, reached out to Northern and Southern Living magazine and said, we're gonna celebrate World Water Day by providing water filters in Bacolod. So can you send us a photographer and a writer? And back then, that was what that was the duo Meg and I were. We were a photo.
Before you were you already together back then?
We were dating. Yeah, we were dating.
Okay.
Yeah. So so Meg and I went and we said, and actually I pointed it out to her that selfishly I said that this is an opportunity to travel. You know, let's just volunteer. Let's just volunteer for the organization. Get free trips. Just see the Philippines
and help out too.
And help out too. Like, actually, honestly, it was a very selfish thing for me to say, but I didn't really think of I didn't know anything about the filter, so I was like, let's just. I know how to shoot. You know how to write. Let's do it. And over time, we fell in love with the filter. We fell in love with the cause. We saw how effective it was, and we started. It's been 8 years, so we've been doing it, and I've been lucky to travel to like Nepal, Mongolia, Honduras, like these really wild places, and it's the same everywhere in the world. Clean drinking water is hard, and providing one filter to 100 families is sort of like, little domino effect. Eventually, hopefully,
You plant a seed,
Yeah.
it'll grow.
and you really spot the big difference. So as a quick example, our founder John Rose, he's a retired surfing champion, based in New York. He's American. He went to Nepal back in 2015, and he was there on a personal trip, I believe. And he was there for a Waves for Water mission, and then suddenly while he was there, the big earthquake of Nepal hit, and he was there, ground zero. So suddenly he was a first responder. He had the water filters. He's helping out different communities. And one of the places that he went to was this valley called the Malemchi Valley, completely remote. And the earthquake had hit badly. It was a mountainside, so lots of things, lots of debris. And he came across this one woman. Her name was Anjali. Anjali, when he saw her, she was shell-shocked. She had just given birth to her daughter. Her name was Ravika. Her daughter was named Ravika, as in newly born child. Shell-shocked with all the dust and everything, and she had lost her husband. Husband died from maybe debris or something. So John, our founder, decided, he had a gut feeling, I'm gonna give her a filter, teach her how to use it. If she doesn't understand, oh well.
Yeah.
But I might as well try. So he gave her the water filter. 2018, I got a call that we were gonna do a mission in Nepal.
Wow.
We're gonna do what we call M&E, which is basically maintenance and checking on old filters, but also providing new filters to different communities. So I went to Nepal. I was sent there first for a month, and I was there to photograph the business of the country representative of wastewater. So I was there for a month first, and then Meg followed for the last 3 weeks of the trip. Side story is I proposed to Meg there in Nepal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so in 2018 I proposed in Nepal.
I actually love Nepal.
Yeah,
Like, it's so beautiful. I have never been, but it's in my bucket list.
Oh, you must. It's super beautiful. So we were there. We went to Nepal, and then we went back to Malemchi Valley. So John was with us, the founder. He flew from the States, we were there, and we were on one of the points of us hiking. We were going through a curve, and John suddenly just stopped, and he said, he looked at Binod, who was the country representative of Nepal, and he goes, "Do you remember Anjali, that girl that I gave the water filter to?" And then Binod was like, yeah, I remember her. What about her? And then John was like, I wonder what happened to her.
Yeah.
And where we stopped, there was a school down, right down, like
right
5
down
steps down. We went down. There was a school under construction or under repair, and we go up to the strangers, the locals there, and then Binod asks, "Do you know this girl named Anjali?" And in my head, when I heard that, I was like, "What are the chances?
Yeah.
You're talking about a valley. This is a huge place." And then the guy literally looks at Binod and goes, points up. And in my head, I was like, dead? What does that mean?
Oh.
And no, literally, he points up at the top of
The school.
like just like top of the hill. Like there's like this makeshift staircase that goes up, and we have no idea where it is.
Yeah.
And we go. So we said, okay, we go up. We go up, and then on top of the right at the top of the staircase, there's this one hut, like a shack.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, John goes up, and the moment, like a fucking movie, the moment we get up there, a woman comes out, and lo and behold, it's Anjali. And she's smiling, and John is just like dumbfounded. He's just like, it's you. And then shortly after, to break the ice, comes a little girl out, Ravika, the little girl, healthy and everything. She welcomes us in, and me and Meg, we didn't really know the gravity of the story because we weren't there in 2015. And we go inside her shack, and she immediately shows the water filter.
Mm-hmm.
She filters every day and cleans the water. That's what she gives to Ravika to be healthy. And we were so shocked by that. And then, just like as if the movie was asking for more, the scriptwriters decided to give us more. The sister of Anjali comes, and her mother, and their daughter, the daughter of the sister, they come and they visit, and we see Ravika and her cousin. Ravika super healthy, skin is beautiful, no snot on her nose. And then by comparison, this relative doesn't use the water filter. Snot, like greenish yellow snot.
You see that
constant, like skin
huge
is not
difference.
healthy, and there's this just stark difference. And we were just shocked to see that there was this visual comparison. And then we found out through the stories, through the storytelling, the story of Anjali, we found out by later researching, if in Nepal, it is believed that if your husband dies of like a freak accident or a cause of nature, something, you as the widow, you are cursed. So the community outcasts you. You're not anymore part of any community, and no husband wants to marry you. No man wants to marry you. You're outcasted
because you're cursed.
You can't have work and anything. So Anjali was making ends meet by selling vegetables in her little pocket garden, and providing that to her sister and her family, who would sell it in behalf of her, because her family at least would be there for her. And it's gotten so bad that in Nepal, they've incentivized locals to marry widows with like a cash incentive. That's how bad it is.
Wow.
Yeah, because of the curse. Because of that curse that they believe.
Yeah, they want to break through incentive.
Yeah, exactly. And so to finish that story off, again, like a movie, John looks up to her. She has like these sashes that she puts around us, and John goes, "I'm so happy to see you." And then Anjali in Nepali replies, "No, I'm happier." As in, it's like a movie.
Wow.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, and honestly, going back home, we were just like, yeah,
I'm sure John and you guys were like,
just like,
my heart is so full. I want to have this effect also to other people.
Yeah, and it was really like, we gotta keep doing this.
Yeah.
We don't know how many people need this kind of, not that they need this story, but they need this to happen in their lives. We don't know if the next person, if it will affect their generation, and stuff like that. So yeah, it gets wild.
Wow.
I didn't know
What
it
a
was that
story.
long.
Dude. I mean, like, I can't wait to, like, later, like, on the way home, we're like, grabe. Like, really, and no, I'm not kidding. Like, because of that also, like, I've always wondered, like, what Waves for Water was. Like, how, like, let's say us, how can we help?
You're by
Towards-
volunteering.
So you just volunteer.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
obviously, if you have CSR programs for your businesses, Waste for Water is 100% tax deductible. Meaning, if example, like me as a freelancer, instead of paying taxes to the government, I can convert that into service to Waves by being the photographer, and it sort of serves as my taxes. That's a big incentive for a lot of businesses. But
Yeah.
for people who really just want to help and be part, we're always looking for people to teach and to be on the field with us to help educate, because sometimes we'll do missions where we're providing, let's say, 100 filters. So that's 100 filters, and each filter is for 100 families.
And you need to teach
So
this.
we need to teach 100 different local champions exactly how to maintain, how to assemble the filters,
How to
use
fix
it
it too,
properly.
yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of it can get lost in translation, or sometimes a lot of it, when it's like big group discussions, a lot of people might there's a chance that someone might not catch it.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for people to help us just get the message through, so that they understand that the best way to get these filters to work for 10 years is if you take care of it. That's pretty much it, and that will drive the message.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love for you guys to join us on a mission.
Yeah.
We do it a lot, so there's always missions. So let me know when you guys want, if there's or if there's a particular province that you want to go to, we can make that happen for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
How often does it happen for you, like in a year?
For me, I try to do it as much as I can in between work. But Meg is part of the company. She's part of the organization.
Okay.
So she's out all the time. She's always on a mission. She's always doing stuff. Especially now with the typhoon Christine, the after effects. Like Meg and her team have been non-stop doing emergency response. Some of the members are going to sites, but many are just people who are sending money to for programs to do in certain provinces. So we're just trying to get boots on the ground and everything. So it's a lot of movement. Yeah.
Question: do you have a photo of Angeli?
Yes.
Is it on your Instagram?
Yes, I have the photo. I have
I-
a.
I'm trying to think if I've
Put a-
seen it. I'm
It's-
trying to think.
It's a photo of Angeli putting the scarf on John. It's that moment when he said, I'm so happy to see you. It was a caught moment where he's just looking at her and I'm so happy to see you. And then someone translated that she said that she was happier. So that was caught on camera, and we've used that for John's used that for it. So it's on social.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
It's interesting how broad photography became for you now.
Yeah.
From just starting out from your lolo, hold a camera, to fashion, Vogue, and even like
To cooking first.
yeah.
And trying to be a pastry chef. And then to now, diba?
Yeah. It's
What a journey.
very interesting practice, I would say. It's a very, very I think there's a lot of fulfillment, and like a lot of people think that photography is at least photography on my end is a very serious matter. It is. No, for sure. It really is, but I think the way we balance it out is my team and we have a lot of fun when we're doing the shoots. We keep the energy very, very light. It's sort of like in between layouts.
Really?
Yeah, in between layouts we're celebrating. We're celebrating people, we're celebrating each other, we're having fun, we're playing games. But when it's shoot time, everyone knows.
Okay.
Zone in.
Yeah.
Let's focus on what story today is telling. That becomes the discipline. So it's fun. Yeah.
I love that you're all aligned with the story.
Super.
No?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure your team, they kind of handpicked also,
Super.
right? No.
The ones who stay in the team are people who get it, I would say. And they also we have this very important rule that you have to feel, as a team member of the photography group, you have to feel as responsible as the photographer taking the photo. So you have to feel like you own that photo as much as I do. And only with that kind of investment do you feel that you're putting your heart to it, and you're putting so much pressure into it, which is great, which is really great. Because sometimes I'll meet someone and I have zero connection with them, and I don't think I will, no matter how hard I try. Then I realize that my lighting tech guy just hits it off perfectly with this person. I'll be like, let me just kind of take the photo, but like you guys communicate.
You guys talk instead.
Let's feed this, whatever this is. Let's feed that, and let's work on that. And it comes out really cool because suddenly it's an interaction not with myself, but it's with them. So we get to redirect the energy where if people think that the photo is the one responsible for a beautiful photograph is the photographer, I like to speak otherwise and say, actually, the one responsible for a beautiful photograph is the subject, because they're the ones that are actually giving so much into the photograph. We're just playing witness to all of it. So that's the fun part.
That was one of the things I was thinking about, because there are a lot of aspects: subject, photographer, camera equipment, lighting, styling, if there's anything else.
Many things, yes.
What's the percentage of like importance? Not to like belittle anyone, but you said I guess the model would be the biggest. Yeah, or
I would say
because I would think before if we get
I think lighting. I would think lighting.
I think for the photography aspect, lighting plays a gigantic role in driving the story. But honestly, from going to that question on a more philosophical sense, I would say, I think the most important ingredient in making a beautiful photograph is the synchronization of everyone. As in, we all have to be on the same page. It's sort of like, I guess, in the context of like music, one bad note can change the whole score.
Nice analogy to kind of
we have to be in the same page, or like I would like to think of it as an orchestra, or rather like you know if the trumpet comes out at the wrong time, it's comedic. It's the same way where within photography, where if we're not aligned, something's wrong. I guess it's our job to be super sensitive to that, to notice that in the shoot, like, something's wrong just because there's someone here in this general vicinity that's not understanding the messaging that we're creating here. And then from there, we kind of just have to stop and take a break and be like, let's realign.
I was gonna ask, like, how do you do it? Because bands practice.
Yeah.
I think
is there a pre-production meeting, or like you have to know each other, or when it happens, there's something off?
It's it's the alignment, the synchronization, and everything. Because a while ago, I was talking to Jake, like we were talking about photography. Like, we wanted to ask you like what the difference would be. You and I were both together. We have the same tripod, same camera. We take the photo. I'm sure it's so different. I feel na parang because you will have that synchronization with the team. Na parang they all feel for sure something that even though without you talking, they already know na parang medyo kailangan ata ganito. They already know their role so much na this is better if I do this.
Yeah.
Artu knows it, he can see it also.
Some weird groove, but photography version.
Pero kung ibang tao yun, parang
it's really that seesaw effect where if I give less, you give more. It's that kind of effect. Like I guess going back to your going back to your analogy of a band. I think that the key ingredient in making it work is you have to be a band. From general sense, like you will have more mistakes if you keep doing sessions with people you don't know. So like for me, I try as much as possible that once I feel I have a good feeling about someone, let's do reps. I'm gonna work with you again and again and again till it hits a point where you don't need to shoot with everyone in the industry. You don't need to collaborate with everyone. You just need to collaborate with the people who understand what you are trying to do and that you understand what they want to do. And suddenly we're just like, even if we have zero pre-production, it just makes sense when we're there because we're like
Sometimes there's no somewhat prep.
For a lot of what we call test shoots, which is like conceptual, no client involved shoots, just practice or collaboration. We just did one recently where it's me, it's Meg, and it's Mo, and this hairstylist named mambabatok, and we've been working together for the last 10 years. And we just understand each other very, very well.
But look, after 10 years, man. Shit.
So that whenever a new model comes in, we know how to get them to be in the same wavelength as us. We from the makeup chair to the styling space to the photo space, it's the same. Like we've already unconsciously prepared them to be ready for this is the kind of shoot you're going to experience. And because we're so prepared for that, in that last shoot that we did, we brought in a new makeup artist. We brought in also this girl named Shayna Lane, who's who owns Nude Floor. She's an amazing dancer. She came in as a movement instructor, a movement director, and because
First time I heard that,
since Meg, Mong, and I were so in synchronization with each other, we were ready to try out different people and see what can they bring in, and it was an experiment. Like if they synchronize with us, great. If they don't, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Move on. But that shoot came out really well. We haven't published it. It's still marinating in my hard drive. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting experience to just kind of like bring it in. I guess it's the same way like with music, like when you bring a what do you call it, sessionaire,
jamming, a sessionist,
sessionist. Like in the start you're kind of just like
you're not sure. You kind of look each other in the eye
sometimes they're supposed to be really good on paper, but I don't know, there's something with the energy,
but
chemistry.
But when you get it the first time, the second time becomes even better and better because you're starting like it's sort of like waking up, breathing now. It's as easy as breathing. So same thing.
We jive.
Yeah.
So same as musicians, you mentioned it's just marinating your hard drive.
Yes.
So is there still a lot of songs just like from test shoots, mini personal projects? Okay.
Super. I'm a super firm believer of that. If for me, I guess it's the same way. Again, back to music. I love this comparison to music, but like the editing process of images, it needs proper marination in the sense that if I force edit it now and release it, it's because I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. Okay. But if I take my time and one day it feels right, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing. I'm gonna work on it, and then I'm gonna release it, and it's just gonna make total sense when it comes out.
So you release your art based also on how you feel.
Yeah. Yes.
So like I'm sure you have certain series. I know the Cathedral of Shadows. Right? Am I correct?
Yes,
Cathedral
correct. Thank you.
That was really nice, by the way.
You mean white and
That was the black and white.
Yeah,
wow, ganda na.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy.
What was the inspiration for it? Like, what was the, that inner emotion for the Cathedral of Shadows? Because it's, I was speechless when I saw it. I was like, grabe yun. It's so artistic, but it speaks volumes.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Honestly, like from the bottom of my heart, thank you for saying that. You are a super empathic person also, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Right? So this conversation is gonna take a dark turn. But I mean, like we are we like I think
you're in a safe space.
Thank you. And I feel like by default I tend to be a very dramatic person. So, but anyway, this is like a legit kind of a dark path.
Yeah.
So the light side first. I had this white cloth. Because back in the early days of my career, I got my first commercial big gig. It was for San Remo pasta. And we needed to do one of those typical billboard shots of like a family and everything in a garden. And in the industry, we have this thing called the butterfly scrim, which is basically this very thin white sheet that's attached to a metal bar, and it's raised up to block the sun and soften the fall of light into an open outdoor space. Those things are very expensive. to rent or to buy. To buy mas lalo, very, very expensive.
Okay.
I had zero money for that, and I took this project. No, I'm pretty sure I got awarded this project because I was probably very cheap compared to my competitors. So I said yes, and I did it, and I found out later on, stupid me, that I needed some form of diffusion in this
Okay.
garden space. So to save money, I went to a fabric store. I bought all the white cloth that I could get. Went home, asked my mom's helpers to
To
help
sew
us
it.
sew it together. So we were a full team. We all sewed it together. It was this gigantic white cloth. I overbought. I bought
Yeah.
way too much, but we sewed it all together. Come shoot day, we ended up not using it because it rained.
Oh.
But at the same time we set it up, and I learned the hard lesson that the reason why scrims are so convenient is the material is so light, bears no weight on a metal frame. I was carrying cloth that was standard, that had a certain
heavy.
thickness, heavy when you combine it all together. So my light stands couldn't carry it. So
Okay.
generally, it wasn't gonna work out.
Yeah.
So suddenly, this white cloth was just a gigantic white cloth that in my storage, no use. But I couldn't let it go because I felt like this is like a marker in my life, like a life,
It's a lesson.
like a life lesson here. So I'm gonna keep it. This is gonna stay there. And come last year, Meg and I, we got pregnant, and then long story short, we had a miscarriage. So
Sorry to hear that.
thank you. So when Meg and I got the miscarriage, it was a very, very hard time for us. One of the things that helped us get through it was how the conversation was normalizing about miscarriages. That was new. So
Like
when I had,
with other
with other
peers.
people,
couples,
yeah.
yeah.
So when we had the miscarriage, I had to cancel on a big Vogue shoot that I was assisting. I was gonna assist my mentor, Sharif Hamza, who was flying in from the States for the shoot, and he had flown in already. And I had to contact the producer of the shoot, Anne Season, and say, "Hey, Anne, I don't think I can do this shoot. We just had a
mentally,
miscarriage."
okay.
I said, "I want to be there, but I think, honestly, actually, my big mistake was I was planning to still continue the shoot because I felt like I needed some semblance of work." And then Meg was shocked to see me be like that because Meg was like breaking down in front of me and I couldn't recognize it. The shell shock in me was so insane, and Meg was so absorbent of what had happened to her body, that we weren't aligned. Like I needed this.
You felt like you needed to do something
Yeah,
normal.
I needed to be a machine while
Yeah.
she needed to be human. And there was that misalignment, so she had to call it out, and I was like, "Shit, my mistake. I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
So I canceled on the shoot, and then the moment I canceled on the shoot, certain people in the Vogue team reached out, said sorry, and said, I've gone through that also." I didn't think it was anything I thought like, oh, okay, nothing big. But over time, we started getting messages from people who were very close to us, we would have never imagined gone through a miscarriage, and they found a safe space in talking to us.
Also, before it wasn't a thing to kind of
No, it
tell.
wasn't. It wasn't a normal thing to have that conversation.
Actually,
So Meg and I started getting used to it, and we started listening to people. And Meg opened a space for mothers who
For
have
healing.
gone through a miscarriage, and she started listening to them, started telling them what she went through. It was just so therapeutic. And then it hit a point where we were in this journey of healing, where when this gallery called Art Agenda from Singapore reached out to me, and they said, we've been wanting to work with you for a while, so we're joining Art Fair next year.
Okay.
Which was this year. We're joining Art Fair next year. Do you have a project that you want to do? And I was like, no, I don't. I don't have a single art project.
Not right now.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm not
In
an
the
art
moment.
photographer. Like
Ah.
I back
Your
then
portrait.
portraits.
Oh, before this,
fashion.
no.
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I was not doing gallery work because I don't really have a body of work. I didn't think that I had a body of work that would speak to gallerists or to art collectors. I thought I was like, magazines and billboards and fashion store fronts. I thought that was my space. So so they said, "Do you want to do something?" And I said, "No, I mean, I'd love to, but I don't have anything." I said, "Okay, at the top of your head, do you have anything that you want to show?" Now we jump back a couple of months. I was doing this workshop for a bunch of models, and as an example for those models, I asked the head model instructor, Ann Collis, if we could do like a demonstration. So we shot in Ayakabawatan studio here in the south, Balay Cobo.
Oh yeah. It's like in BF or something, right?
Yeah,
Pilar.
So we shot in Balay Cobo, and I called Anne the night before. I was like, Anne, I need to demonstrate something for the class. We just need to show something. So Meg and I decided to get that white cloth. I said, Anne, we're gonna throw it at you and figure out what you want to do with it. We came out with this super beautiful photo. Like, I fell in love with it. Everything, and it just stayed there on my desktop. I edited it. I had one single photo. It was on my desktop. When that meeting came up and they asked if I had anything, I had nothing to show except for that. I was like, what do you think of this? So I showed it to them, and they're like, that's beautiful. Like, let's do that. I said, I can make this happen. I can shoot. And then so from that point on, Meg and I sat down. We were like, what can we do? What are we gonna do? And Meg and I decided, why don't we photograph people who mean something to us, who have made an impact in our lives at any point. So this was going to be our love letter to the people who have been there for us through in the industry, but at the same time through our lives. Photograph them in a way that feels like a mother's embrace, but in the same way, Meg, it was sort of reactive. I would photograph, and Meg would shape the cloth based on the way our subjects would interpret the cloth. And the only thing that was consistent was that we would play a Max Richter piano piece, very powerful. The song is The Nature of Daylight. Okay. And there was also like other beautiful classical music, but we would blast it into the space. Really like an experiential thing, really like kind of momentous. And they would get emotional, and it felt like we were all dancing. Meg and our team, they would rush into the space if they saw that a shape was being built by the subject.
Wow.
They'd pull or they'd let loose, and then I would photograph it. And then there, in a span of 2 months, we were able to get the whole collection, and we displayed it in art fair. And I was so happy to hear what people were saying when they saw it. Like how you reacted, same way. Similarly, there were people who just stop and be like, they'd stare and just be like, wow, okay. And in a way, it was Meg and I's way of healing from the miscarriage. It felt like, we're seeing you, like the way I was seeing them as a photographer. It's like, this is probably what it looks like inside the womb, like just beautiful light, and then just different layers of cloth or skin texture, and then the only contrasting thing is a human life, and it just felt so beautiful to photograph people that actually meant something to us. So that series, it only has one additional one since we released it. So we're taking it slow because I don't want to. We don't want to.
Oh,
rush
you're gonna
it.
do continuous type of thing
so
for this.
The goal is to like a hardbound book one day. All of it, just like every different way of interpreting the same white cloth. So that cloth is like unchanged. No matter if it gets torn, if it gets ripped, if it's something, it's the same white cloth. And it's the journey of that white cloth wherever we go. So we'll just keep doing it.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah,
wow, I can't wait to see how age just really what it does to that cloth.
Exactly.
From the use of it all the time. What kung madamihan man yan, it's okay.
Exactly.
It's part of it.
Exactly. So that's kind of like the process we're doing. We're with it now, and yeah, hopefully it becomes a book. That's really the big goal. It becomes a book that we get to. Meg loves to write. She's foremost a writer, and sometimes she'll she'll throw out these lines that are just so beautiful. And I feel like it's just gonna be a perfect thing to randomly see like a little poem like in the middle of the book, like it's really tiny and something, and just kind of see like it being like we don't know what story it's gonna build, but we know that when you see it you'll feel something, and that's what matters. So yeah.
I like the fact that this started from like a amateur Artu buying like white cloth and like to this.
Salamat sa
Like
Nemo.
What's the cloth place in town center?
The one in
Fabric Warehouse?
Yeah.
No. It was the one
the one
across
by
Jewelmer.
that one,
I
that
know what
store
you're talking
there.
about.
You bought it there.
I carried it, really like a big roll and brought it home. Everything. It's all starting from the south. Yeah.
Wow. Do you write too?
I do write. I occasionally write, but I write more as as a means of therapy. So I don't write for a particular audience, or nor do I write for any magazine. It's just when I feel it.
Like this is your thoughts in song form,
If
poem.
if
Or
I
on a
can't
photo.
create a photograph that my words are trying to say, then I might as well just put it into words. Sometimes that's just the beauty of words. Sometimes you just can't beat how literal words can be. You know? And photographs, you have to translate it into something, same as music, same as sculptures, or in painting. It starts with words, and then you convert it into some form of translation. And sometimes it's just beautiful as words, so you kind of stick to that.
Going back to what your Lola said, it seems like you already know how to tell a story through photos.
Trying.
So is there a goal to kind of, I think I can make a film now?
I feel like Lolo, naka 1,000 images na ako. I feel like I have
check ko yung
1,000.
hard drive. Enough na.
Dude, how many hard drives do you have? Is everything backed up?
Everything's
Oh
backed
my
up.
god.
Yeah, I think
How much?
I think I have like 11 or 15, 4 to 6 terabyte.
Wild.
Yeah, so just multiply that. Yeah.
So no online.
You don't store it in Google Photos.
I
or
have
Mahal.
I have JPEGs saved on Google Drive.
Okay.
Not all of it.
Yeah.
But
like raw files and shit.
Yeah, but we have this rule of thumb that we don't erase at all.
Yeah.
So even rejected photos.
12 years of no erasing.
Yeah, so
Goddamn.
it's just there. It's just there. And then nowadays,
Okay.
camera equipment. I mean, nowadays with like the newest Sonys and everything, the file sizes are gigantic. One photo is like for a Sony, one photo is 90 megabytes.
One photo.
One photo. In Fujifilm, those medium formats, you're looking at 200 megabytes per photo.
Grabe.
5 photos, 1 gig.
Grabe yun,
God.
Don't worry, it's all gonna be worth it when you're old.
I
or
know.
something. You're looking for something.
Yeah.
I know. I need to buy hard drives also.
Yep,
Just like
yep.
me naman, or I think me and Jake
Clips,
actually.
GoPro, whatever.
We usually GoPro stuff.
Mm.
I mean, I want an SLR too, because like when you take a video on an SLR, it's kind of different.
different.
Change the lens and
Yes.
everything really captures a
The charm
certain
of it.
moment. Ours is just flat.
Yeah.
But hey, you capture moments and just
Exactly.
like watch it. Like, man, those
Yeah.
were the times.
So I just shoot and keep it there, and I'll probably look at it 5-10 years from now, and then
Yeah.
where it's more valuable. Oh look,
It was us back then.
Yeah. It's really like wine, no? Like taking memories. You just-
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like over time,
Agreed.
you're just like, I don't care for taking this photo, and then suddenly, it pops up out of nowhere, and you'd be like,
Oh.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
happened that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is how I felt that time.
Exactly. And
Yep.
I don't know if that practice is still being done as authentically nowadays as before. Like going back to Tito Koboy, like our childhood has been preserved by his hero, by him being that hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like growing up, I know I have videos because he did it. Same with
Yep.
you, right?
Yep.
So the question is like, how about for our kids or for us now at this point in our lives, like who's documenting it and where can you find those documents? Like if it's someone's birthday, let's say it's your birthday and you have a bunch of people there, you have like 15-20 different videos from different phones, but
Yeah.
that's all posted in a story that's gone in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like
There's an archive.
there's an
There's
So
an
archive.
hopefully they
archive.
don't disappear because
That's true.
Sometimes I do take something because I actually I got into film like 2 years
I
ago.
see.
Because I kind of value what I take. Okay, these
Nice.
moments, and then I upload it. It looks better. It looks more like an actual memory,
Yeah.
and then it's there actually to look back.
Exactly, and
So
I think
hopefully
what's-
people do it on Instagram.
What's so special about film, and I love that you're doing that, is that it forces you to be decisive on what is a particularly good memory.
Yeah,
Because you'll be like,
exactly 30 shots lang.
This
yeah.
is
This
what
one
counts.
counts,
Yeah,
yeah.
This
yeah,
one should count.
Because with the phone, dude, I have
Yeah.
how many gigs? Go,
yeah,
go, go.
and then you have the cloud, parang easy.
Yeah.
No need to worry about storage.
I
But
actually did
yeah.
it also before, even with the phones and all. Every quarter, for example, Jan to
Oh
March,
yeah, I kind of
April,
noticed
na,
that before.
I would, pick 30 photos and print it.
Yeah.
Just so that you have that. Because in your phone, you have a lot of photos.
Yeah, yeah, but
Stuff you take, stuff your friends send, dami. But yun nga, it loses its value because you have so much.
Yeah.
that's
So I kinda
true.
choose.
I kind of miss those photo album.
Photo books,
They
yeah.
just stick it there.
Yeah.
No one really does it as much anymore. They just send it out.
Yeah.
But for me, talaga, I love the fact that it's printed out.
Printed. I think that's always like the final frontier of photography. you
Still
know.
print?
I if I can
Yeah.
print everything, I would. But obviously
There's
that's
no
expensive, physical space, everything. But I think that's really the final frontier. Like the choice of paper, the choice of choice of paper, if it's matte or if it's glossy. For you, if I tell you a shoebox, in Jack Johnson's words, shoebox of photographs, you actually smell that experience, right? You know what the shoebox, that 90s shoebox smells like, plus the smell of glossy photos, and then the effect of like fingerprints on those things.
Yeah,
It's a very, very particular sense and sensation, and I think that's the particular touch of photography that makes it a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Na parang, oh, this photo is beautiful because my lolo's print is on there. Or you know that there's a crease because someone kept it in their pocket all the time. You know, stuff like that. That makes that's the final touch of the photograph.
Yeah.
The bringing home aspect of it all.
Bring it home, baby.
Yeah. God, this is fun podcast, guys.
Dude,
Right?
That's the
Like,
best. That's
I'm so happy that you said that. Like,
The other thing
It's
also
so
we
good.
talked about, because like, we know a lot of good people, but it would be weird or to let's hang for 2 hours. Like, why?
Dude, I can
Maybe
keep
we would
going.
never have the reason, but this is like the reason. But eventually, after the whole conversation, we got to know more about you.
Yeah.
Stories we never told.
And like
2 hours of like quality time.
Like
Yeah.
Jello, you and I, we never really got to do this.
Yeah,
like in our
exactly.
lives, like
Yeah.
I've always seen you from the distance throwing a frisbee together, and we'd say hi, but it's always less than 5 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Like parang-
small talk in a few more minutes.
Yeah,
diba?
so,
Yeah.
like I love
I
that
love
I
this
get
deep
to,
conversation. I'm getting to know you more. We're connecting on a
Exactly.
deeper level.
Exactly.
I live for these moments also.
Yeah.
It feels really good to reconnect and connect again with a lot.
From the days of just playing Dota in Bicol.
Diba? To here now. Diba? Grabe. So I should get one drink. Continue.
Sige. I've noticed like I remember kasi before I was trying to think of what else can we talk about, and then you replied to one of my stories where I bought like skulls in Bali.
Yeah.
And then I see rings. I don't think I've ever seen the tattoo, or I forgot.
So
but like
this tattoo is actually, I'm not wearing it now, but I have a 13 Lucky Monkey ring.
Okay, yeah.
And
It's
it was-
local, diba? 13
Yeah,
Lucky
yeah,
Monkeys.
they're these local, amazing, badass designers, kicking their asses in Japan. They're just doing so well. I can't even say that I'm proud of them because they've been there since before.
Yeah.
Like my presence has no contribution. I'm just a fan. Their work is so beautiful, and yeah, so they're big fans of skulls. And generally, so like Meg got me the ring for my birthday 1 year, and I kind of had it in my head that one day when we have a kid, I'm just gonna pass that down to them. So like I want to have the ring for me. So it's my first ever tattoo.
That's your first ever tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's my only machine tattoo. Everything else.
That one?
This is Wang.
This is Wang-Od, I'm sure.
Apo Whang-Od. Okay.
Apo Whang-Od, and this is Grace, her grandniece, and the other grandniece.
Oh.
And then when I came back, El Yang did a whole.
Wow.
round, yeah.
So what's the difference of the machine and the
Oh, the
Kalinga?
yeah, the machine is gentle.
Really?
Yeah. So Apo Whang-Od, when she did this 3 dots, it only took 5 minutes, but she has tattooed warriors. So you have zero. You can't expect her to be gentle,
Yeah.
and you can't expect her to care. So she's just there, and it's like full, like
No way.
Yeah.
Like you see the
I mean, not that
force
like,
of like
but you see it. You
Like
see
there's speed.
the
Ugh.
needle like going in and out, and it's deep. Like if this is the needle, this much is going in, and it's painful. It
So
was-
they're just taking it like a warrior,
yeah,
or
you're
like
just taking it there, and you can't complain because when you're taking it, for one it feels like a spiritual moment, and at the same
Yeah.
time you're studying Apo Whang-Od,
Yeah.
and she's 3 dots here. She's 3 dots here.
Imagine.
So I'm just like,
don't
no, man.
scream, pussy! Like on my face.
She's got that there. Like, I'm not gonna complain about
This is
this.
so different.
No way.
Your pain.
Yeah.
You got
Wait.
that during the shoot.
Yeah. So,
Before, after.
it was pretty cool. We did this shoot. So we 16-hour drive.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Straight? I don't know.
Straight, pretty much. We
just raw dog
We
it,
met
dude.
up. Yep, we met up in Ortigas. The van drivers had their mission set. Only thing we did was bathroom stops. 16 hours
the fucking
straight.
butt pain.
Yeah, drive straight all the way. 1 hour and a half hike down and then up, and then lunch. Lunch there at our homestay, and then quick ocular, and then the ocular was useless because we found out that Apo Whang-Od couldn't go to where we wanted to shoot.
Oh.
So we had to go to where she could shoot,
Okay.
and then we shot for an hour and a half, and then after the whole session, she was like, "Tara."
Tatuang kita.
Yeah. So she did it. I was the second person she did it from my team, and then I moved her straight to Grace, who did mine, and then the next morning I got El Yang, so I got all 3.
Okay.
At the same
And that was
time.
it. Yeah, that was it. We went down the mountain. Going home, everyone was bloody somewhere. And honestly, when I was going home, I was super scared about that shoot. I felt like I failed.
No,
Really?
way.
Yeah, man.
Making this
No,
shit.
no,
It's
it
so
didn't.
obvious.
Why?
The result.
What
Yeah.
made you
So again, another dark twist to the story. So days before we left for Apo Whang-Od, 10 days before we left for Apo Whang-Od, like a surprise death came. My eldest dog passed away, and Jake knows this. I'm super dog
I
obsessed.
know that's another
Like-
question.
like dogs. Forgive me if anyone hates on me for this, but dogs are above humans for me. Like I
I
can
thought you
say
were gonna
that.
trash on the cats. Sorry, cats.
Like dogs are so high up there, and so I had Megan. I had originally 5 dogs, and this guy Coco passed away abruptly. Like it was unexpected, and he was my unbiased. No biased. He was my favorite. He was my favorite.
knew.
and and he was a rescue. So parang he comes from a traumatic past, and I didn't see that death coming. So I was super broken, super broken. I did not know what to do. Did not know how to handle it. I was handling the death terribly. So when we did the shoot, I was not in a good place. Like, parang the 16-hour drive going there, I was crying every once in a while. You know, I was really not there. I was like,
you weren't you were just
wasn't-
physically present, but mentally you
I was
weren't.
somewhere
best
else. I was
headspace.
emotionally, I was somewhere else. So and we were so tired. Like the exhaustion. I think the exhaustion from the drive, the hike, and you know, I'm still running. I was at that point. I was still running on a very pandemic body. So the hike was like again like raw dogging it. Like again, so tired and everything, physically exhausted. So the emotions were amplified because I was physically exhausted. So we did, and when we did that shoot, the only thing that worked out for me in that shoot was that I saw Apo Whang-Od and I remembered my lola. That was really it. And I was like, maybe in the simplest form, I need you more than anything else. Like, Apo Whang-Od doesn't care for Vogue magazine.
Yeah.
She doesn't need Vogue magazine. She doesn't need any magazine. She's an institution on her own. And even if we photograph her, it's not going to affect her life because she lives very simply. She doesn't live for the fame. She just wants to do tattoos and she wants to drink coffee by the mountain. That's it.
And
Simple.
enjoy her life.
Yeah, and when I kind of came to that small realization that this is no big deal to her, therefore, me as the photographer, it shouldn't be a big deal. I am just a visiting grandchild.
I'm a traveler.
Yeah, exactly. So I just photographed her like that. Like I was some curious little grandchild who held the camera for the first time. And when we were editing the shots, we edited it up there in the mountain.
Really?
I brought my laptop, doing mock edits. I made one edit, and then I there's no signal there. So once we got the signal going down, I sent it to Bea Valdez, the editor-in-chief, and that was the end of it. And I got home. Meg didn't hear from me at all because of the signal thing.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I need to go back because I need to shoot her again because I think I really failed. And I told her about I told her about my dog Coco. It's like I'm not there. I wasn't there. I was so wrecked out of it. And she saw the photos, and Meg is the type of person who will tell you, like, she'll be blunt, like it's not good or anything. And she said, "You're okay." She just said, "You're okay."
Okay.
And she didn't say it was beautiful.
Okay.
She didn't say it was ugly. But she said, "You don't need to go back.
Okay.
But you're okay." And when I heard that you're okay, I was like, shit, I failed. It was more it was me punishing
It was just
myself.
for you. It was like
Yeah.
an okay.
Yeah, because I guess expectations, I was hoping someone would say they're beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was and I think I needed to hear that from Mega. It's like, you're okay. And it wasn't that they're okay. It's like, you as a person, you're okay. And I was like, okay, all right, just breathe and everything. I edited the images, I sent them over, and then it came out, and it was just like people were in love with it. And I was surprised. I'm still surprised by it because, I didn't really think anything of it. I wasn't really present. I was there. I think the reasoning this whole shoot happened was, on my end at least, I was there to be healed by Apo Whang-Od. Like I had no contribution to healing or to contribute that. It was, I needed there to be there for me to be healed by her. Yeah. So she literally changed my life in so many ways.
Wow.
There was no prediction like, oh, we're shooting her and this is the story. This is gonna be like expect not only viral, but like this is gonna be big. Like no,
because it's a very so I don't know if it's a Vogue international rule, but it's a Vogue Philippines rule, and Bea Valdez was the one who told me about it. Is that no matter what story we're shooting, as long as we're shooting for Vogue, it's always a candidate for a cover. Like it's they don't have a cover sub-cover. They don't have a cover story set. They don't they say, okay, for June it's going to be this person. Many magazines do it that way, like, okay, who's a June cover?
I'd assume,
based on relevancy and everything. For Vogue, it's sort of like we will shoot everything that makes sense for a story, and then we will choose later on if it makes sense to be the cover. So when Bea told me, it's like Bea said, she called me up and said, "Do you want to shoot Apo Whang-Od?" I was like, "Of course I want to shoot Apo Whang-Od." And then she said, "This is." And back then I had zero covers. I was like I didn't feel like I deserved a cover or anything.
Really, zero covers then?
Was that your
Apo Whang-Od
first?
was my
That was
first
your
cover.
first.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had no expectations or anything, and I didn't think it was gonna be a cover or anything. But she said, just do your best and everything. So I said, yeah, of course, I'll always do my best with this. So we did it, and then when I learned about the whole cover spiel about like the candidacy of becoming a cover, that's when I felt like, okay, I'll find out next month if Apo Whang-Od is not the cover, then that will mean I failed. because
Okay.
that will mean I did not give Apo Whang-Od the justice that she deserved to become cover. And in my head, her story is a cover story.
Yeah.
It's deserving to be seen as a cover. So if it's not a good photograph, it means it's not Apo Whang-Od's fault. It's my fault because the image didn't deliver the story. So that's where my nervousness came in. So when it was the cover, I was like, okay, at least there's that satisfaction that her story is deserving to be there. People can see it because you can't also expect that Vogue will make her, if Vogue features her inside the magazine one day and then she becomes cover the next. I think it's weird. It's like it's a one-time opportunity thing. True. So yun, got lucky.
Take a quick leave.
Yeah. Go.
Do you get? Are you pressured, knowing that you're also a Nepomuceno?
Oh.
Is that pressure? I mean, like, is your great grandfather or your grandfather a national artist?
No. Well, my great grandfather, I don't know if Father of Philippine Films means you're automatically a national artist.
Yeah.
I actually
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
I don't know the schematics of that. But before, back in college, yes. Being the grandchild of a Nepomuceno and the great grandchild of a Nepomuceno, there's a lot of pressure, especially when I would come across like art enthusiasts and film critics or film people who are so familiar with film history. They'd look at me and be like, "You're a Nepomuceno, are you related?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I actually live with them." There's this pressure that I'm supposed to be the next
in line.
Yeah, next in line and be like the next big thing.
Next big thing in
At least
cinema.
in cinema, because they were big, they were gigantic people in the industry. And for a while, I did everything I can to disassociate myself. And not because I was not proud or anything, but more because I just wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted my own credibility. I wanted, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I didn't want the pressure of becoming a filmmaker if I didn't feel like it was right for me. But nowadays, I think for the longest time, I was working on building my own name for myself. And then, I don't know how or when it happened, but again, Meg being my big guidance. She's like the ball of
I
life.
get that.
Yeah.
It's your significant other that always gives you
The best advice.
inspiration.
Yes, exactly.
The best advice because they see you in a way that you don't see yourself.
Exactly. Amen to that. Exactly. So Meg was able to point it out. You actually should be proud. Like, she pointed out, at this point in your career, you've done enough to have a name in the industry where they know your name. Now this is the point in your life where you actually have to embrace your family heritage and own it. So this is I can still say that this is the nth. This is I can still count with my fingers that today is one of those sessions. This podcast is one of those sessions where I actually get to say that I'm proud to be a Nepomuceno. And I get to talk about it and I get to share that I'm happy to be that. For the longest time, not that I was ashamed, but I was just keeping quiet about it. So now, talagang proud. Like, he's my grandfather.
Yeah.
He's my great grandfather. Like, it's not. I think I'd like to say that my work credibility, my body of work, it's not an effect of nature, but it's an effect of nurture. So, my grandfather raised me right.
Yeah.
To be a respectful person so that I could take respectful stories. Yeah.
I love
think
that.
that's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love how you're super close to your grandfather.
Super.
I mean, I wish I was close to my grandfather too. But yeah, I know I wasn't the favorite. I wasn't the favorite. It was my cousin. I get it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I wish I was. I would have learned more. I'd like to think because there's so much wisdom that you can get from,
Sorry, that sounds like B. I'm sorry.
Right?
We're not
Even
being
the
guys.
opening of the
That's
cast.
referred to
If
the
you're on the
GoPro.
audio, it's not a tea break.
Santorian. But yeah, grabe.
Wait, okay, I almost forgot.
Oh,
Given
go.
that we're drinking, we just talked about, dude, you got an endorsement sponsorship with Glenn
Fiddick.
Fiddick.
Oh,
I was like, whoa.
oh my god!
Oh, galing, ah.
Thank you. That was. I
That was
think
a
that's
really nice shoot, though.
Thank
I
you.
know.
That was all Vogue's doing. That's
Oh.
that Vogue put it together. I think they got their storytellers. They felt like they rounded us up for this conversation. It's a very beautiful conversation with Pepe, with Direct Pepe, with Shaira. I've spent a lot of time with Shaira in like these public events, and Shaira's kind of like my security blanket. She's so good at being out there in the world. I'm not. PR stuff's terrible for me.
How do you get close though to other photographers? Because do you
It's
ever
hard.
shoot at the same time?
We're
No?
not
So-
in the same space. Often we're not in the same space.
Yeah.
But we have too many similar stories about like our work experience that it becomes very therapeutic to be with each other. So somehow I've found that it's so nice to just be like with Shaira. Like there's so many photographers. Like I love talking to like Joseph Pascual, but I have to pinpoint that Shaira has become sort of like my best photography buddy. Because like when I talk to her, I feel safe, and I feel like going back to that experience about like pagpag and everything. So we get to do that with each other.
yeah.
So I'll just be like, yeah, it's a
So
hard.
I guess
shoot.
there's some things you can't tell us because we won't relate. But as
Yeah,
another
or-
photographer in the same space,
Exactly.
kayo lang
Or
makakagets.
they understand the gravity of
Yeah.
the simple context.
Yeah.
Na parang, why was it a bad shoot? And you can just say one word and they'll be like, yeah, we're here for you. Parang.
Pero where would you meet or even just get together?
So,
So are there like
there's-
photographer
Yeah.
parties?
So there's-
Yung
Yung
photography club ni Artu. Buhay na ulit.
They're more than 3 now.
So
Yeah.
actually going so there's been a lot
Events.
of photography or photographer initiated get-togethers,
Okay,
which
okay.
have been great. And I actually did one back in the pandemic in Clubhouse.
Okay.
So Clubhouse was kind of like a space, right, for gatherings. I made this show called Tethered, which was basically like this, a podcast, but it was live
Okay.
and not recorded because back then Clubhouse was still exploring itself. There was no record option.
Oh, okay. This is the app.
Yeah,
I
the
checked
app.
it out because you and a few more people were talking about it. So I
Yeah,
checked
yeah.
it out. It's like a
Take a room.
Twitter
Yeah, Twitter space.
live stream type of thing. Twitch type of
Yes.
I was like Twitch, but
Yes.
but audio, but
Yes.
yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
it was
basi-
very interesting.
It's basically you set up a room.
I thought Clubhouse like the club.
No.
ako rin eh. I was thinking like Clubhouse.
yeah.
Di pala.
Sorry, Clubhouse, the app.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, I started this show with two other photographers, RG and Matt. We started this show called Tethered, which is a photography term, in the app called Clubhouse. And in the app, basically, there are hosts inside the room, and then there are a bunch of people. It's free, like
Yeah.
anyone can enter. And if people raise their hands, they can be
Yeah.
placed up to stage. The moderators put you up on stage, and you can voice stuff out.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, I set up that group. I set up the group, and basically I set up every week. I set up episodes.
Okay.
Photographers with stylists, photographers
Yeah.
with creative
Yeah.
directors, and I would be the host. I would be the one asking the question. What you guys are doing? I'd ask the questions. I'd create the flow in the conversation. And for some reason, it became like a safe space,
Yeah.
especially during the pandemic,
Yeah.
where photographers were able to voice out their frustrations, either loss of jobs or loss of opportunity, or celebrating a small job or from a big job. And it was just so great, and we became a really nice community.
Yeah.
When the pandemic kind of died down, the show also kind of died down because people got busy.
Yeah.
But it was really good while it lasted, and that was one of those opportunities where I got really close to
Yeah.
Shaira,
Okay.
and many other photographers. We just found that there was an opportunity. The handshake was there. Now after the show, people could really converse and have conversations, and there was actually a common ground to have that conversation. It was more like it won't be strangers talking. Like we've actually met.
Yeah.
Parang ganun.
Yeah.
So it became more exciting that way. Yeah, fun.
I like that the moods even like that you're friends with technically your competition, right? Because sometimes in other, I'm sure there are some maybe, but in most fields or a lot of fields, they're like, this is my competition. I mean, we could be in the choices for the options for this certain shoot,
Yes.
but
That's true.
I guess there's a lot to shoot that you don't need to really compete that hard. Put someone down.
I think it's more like we have this. I think I'd like to say majority of photographers, at least in the editorial space, which is the space I'm in, editorial, advertising, commercial, and portrait. That space of the photography industry. There was a study that pointed out that the Philippines is part of the top 10 worst paid creatives in the world. It's I think a 2018 or something study, sometime a few years ago, and we are in the top 10 worst paid people. So because of that, we know the big price difference between us and the West.
Yeah.
So us photographers, rather than being competitive with each other, we try to match our prices with each other so that it's a choice.
That's a good.
It's a choice of who is the best fit for the job. Therefore, no hard feelings if we lose.
Yeah.
But what's ruining
like
us
that.
is when we're losing to someone who is super cheap.
Because they want that.
Yeah,
they want it.
and we understand because we've been there.
It's tough times.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we have to also come to this realization: if a client can get conditioned with your low rate, it will become a new standard.
It's gonna be the staple.
Yeah.
They want it to
They
be
want
that.
to be
Like
that.
he can do it. How come
do
you
it.
can't?
Why won't you?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, us photographers who have been trying to be rewarded for years of experience, we're not getting the reward. So we're just like, okay, well, let's talk. Let's have this conversation. Yeah. And it's hard because like photography is not a licensed job. You know, like how interior designers, they have a license to practice, and therefore their rates are more standardized based on, like I'd say, like flight time. They get a more standard guide on rates. As a freelancer, it's really, bahala kayo. Whatever, parang whatever rate works, parang ganun lang. So yun, it's.
Good point.
And I love it na you wanna keep that standard because all creatives need that. We need to increase those prices. Because it's not cheap anymore.
No.
Like if you go to the supermarket and buy some a few stuff, that's 1,000 pesos out the door, and you're like, what? 1,000 used to be a lot, and now it's just this.
Yeah.
Ang hirap. So we gotta stick it to the big man too.
Yeah. Is it the same with? I mean, would you know if it's the same still in the music industry?
In terms,
Well,
I think in music it's more of really the concerts and performances. In terms of the single streaming, I don't think that's the main source of income.
Right.
You interviewed someone it matters in numbers, but it's not the one that's giving you.
we
Your
spoke to Monty Macalino.
Shout out to Monty.
Shout out to
Mayonnaise.
Monty. Mayonnaise.
Oh, right. Big
Yeah.
fan. Sorry, I know him only by Monty.
Yeah.
And this is my
Monty.
first time hearing his last
Last
name.
name. And like
Bakit
Bakit
part 2?
part 1, Bakit part 2, diba? But in the
It's
music
the big
industry,
gigs.
it's usually like what he mentioned. It's really the LGUs when they want you, because they also need those, the audience, whatnot. Usually, ganun. The singles,
Singles plays. I don't think it really even gives a nudge in terms of your income.
Yeah.
Performances, if you get endorsements, still now, but it's more of the
concerts. Pretty much. That's pretty much it. That's how they make it.
Yeah.
But the songs, I'm sure it's an added, the number of plays on Spotify.
Yeah.
maybe a little bit different in terms of this band plays this type of music versus like a photographer takes this type of photo. Yun yung you can't really do a comparison that's like exactly for that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Depends.
Can I wear the host hat for a quick second?
Go ahead.
Like, with podcasts, kind of like has been a big thing since God knows when. Like, it's been a while. Like,
Pre Spotify, at least me, I would listen like iPod Classic download from iTunes type.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's there's so much therapy listening to conversations that you can relate to or that you feel like you're part of. So for you guys, what drives you to do this?
Or to record and make a podcast.
Yeah, this is a lot of effort. Like if
It is yeah.
you've
That's
got
a lot.
recording devices. We are in a room that is kind of like designed to handle the sound. Like
I just love podcasts. I think I listen to like the origin story. I listen to podcasts because of the Manila traffic.
I love that.
I mean, sometimes music, but after a while in the morning, it's not really. You don't want to hear some loud distortion or loud house track. So podcast, and then it became more accessible when Spotify came in, and then people made more podcasts, better podcasts. So like, it got more interesting. And why did I start? I guess I was like, that's fun.
Yeah.
I think maybe the deep root is like I like talking to people, but you don't get to do it at this type of level.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's try it out.
Yeah.
And then like I told you earlier, we got a makeshift mic, tried it out.
Yeah.
4 people around it. Okay na, but quality wise, not so nice. And then we just did like 3 episodes of that. Then wala lang, SoundCloud update, but like no proper thing. And then people started doing it in the pandemic. Pero Zoom, I was like, I don't want to do a podcast just to have a podcast. I actually want to talk to people. Side effect lang that we can post it somewhere and people can listen.
Yeah, more power to you.
So I'm like, okay, let's wait it out. I mean, it's not a priority. It's just like a fun thing you want to try. So pandemic was over. The idea was back. Okay. So I was thinking, let's check out the equipment. So I checked out JB, the biggest store here for podcasts. Because it's pretty pricey also, but I want to do it right. Like get the nice speakers, get the feel. How do you edit it? How do you put it
It's
back?
so different.
Yeah.
And then, okay, that was just me. I was like, I don't want to do this alone. I want to talk to other people also. At least it's a more social type of thing. And then easier also to be, it's a little bit of pressure to be like a one-on-one type of thing. So I was like, okay, Jello. Okay, ask it's a game. He listens to podcasts. He's one of the most extroverted people I know from my group of friends. Medyo yes man to. So I say, let's try it.
Yeah, dude.
So games, I bought it, tested out. This was like a year na since we got this, since we tried it.
Yeah.
You're just no pressure in
playing
terms of
around
time
with it.
naman eh.
Yeah.
But the main thing is like, I guess just bring back real conversations, like no distractions, kind of really eye to eye.
unfiltered.
And this helps a lot. Okay, I hear his voice, I hear his tone, I see
This
his.
is horse vice.
Yeah.
This is like iron focus. I don't think I've been this in the conversation in a while.
Right?
Yeah,
Like this is like a reminder of what it was like back in high school when phones like I don't want to sound like a dinosaur, but you know, like every in between moment of our conversations, if we didn't have all of this, or I could have easily just
Grabbed your phone.
checked my phone,
Yep.
and that would have taken the momentum out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything. So really, like, power to you guys. And honestly, I haven't felt this comfortable in a conversation in a long while. So I'm grateful for you.
I'm
guys.
so happy
Like,
to hear that.
Really.
Like, I'm touched.
Like
Yeah.
I get to have this obviously with my wife,
Yeah.
and I get to have this with my team once in a while. But there are distractions.
Yeah.
You know, like there are distractions, like Instagram or anything. But how long has it been? It's been
It's in like 2 hours.
2 hours.
15.
2:15. Like, and it.
Feels like 30
I
minutes
can
or something.
keep going.
We can go
Like, we
actually.
can-
The first time we tried it was
Right.
like 5.
Yeah.
We were just like plug it. Okay, let's just see.
Yeah.
It's easy, but you gotta cap it at like maybe around soon. But
Yeah, but
dude,
like really,
you can
like,
as long as you
amazing.
kind of get along with the person and they have a lot to tell, which for sure
We
right?
all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hope this, like, I hope you guys get to continue this. I really
Yeah, we will.
And I'm definitely gonna start listening this as a normal.
Yeah. But you know, to answer your question, for me,
Yeah.
the reason why I also do it is okay, sure, I'm very extroverted. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people too, right?
Yeah.
But it's also the conversations that we have. It's so memorable also eh. Na I want when we're older, you know, the past also, I mean, our children or whatnot, they can listen to it. It's for the past to remember. And for the future, for the past So I forget. I had something in my head.
Go.
Oh, I forgot, dude.
I believe in you.
I know.
Yeah.
For the people to look back at something.
Yeah, it's basically like something to look back on for the
parang
for the
audio version
future.
ba ng photos.
Yeah, I had it written, but anyway,
Go.
it's for the future to really learn about us.
Yeah.
Because when we get older, we're old na sino ba tayo? Who knows us, right? But then they can easily just get to know us like, ganun pala si Artu, ganun pala si Jake,
In a
ganun pala
different
si
form,
Jello.
actually. Because kunwari,
It's like a diary.
knock on wood, you're already gone. Your great grandchildren. Sometimes they have a photo. Oh, this was young Lola Jello.
Yeah.
He has a podcast. Check it
Yeah.
out. Oh, this is Lola Jello at 34. He was talking to his friends in the podcast. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a different version of a photo or of Tito Cabo's
Exactly.
home videos, right?
Well, it's for the past. I mean, which is us, the past to appreciate, and for the future to really remember
Yeah.
us.
So I need to applaud you guys though, like because, I've, well, I have to admit that I've done a lot of interviews in the last 2 years because ever since Apo Whang-Od, like there's been
I'm
there's been an increase in like the public the public image, and I show up in a lot more things as what they call KOL, which is a key opinion leader, right? And it's an interesting space, but I have to say that, and I'm not being biased anyway, but this is a conversation where it feels the least academic in a very good way, because I get to talk about philosophies, and I get to talk about things in a very intellectual way, not because you prompted me to it, but because I want to.
Yeah.
And I have to give you props on being able to fish that out, because so many conversations are specific questions that have very specific answers, and it's up to me to just try to expound on it. But for you guys, you are giving not even questions. It's just a conversation, and then from there,
We
it's
just wanted to know more.
Yeah, and I got like, galing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the word. The kind
Super.
words.
I think
Cheers to
that's
that,
cheers
man.
to that.
I think the long form helps it also. Like, okay, we're not. I'm sure your interview's like 30 minutes, 30 minutes. And then it's really like, it's content. This one, because when I said earlier, like, it's just a recorded conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have like notes. Okay, this is where we're going to bring it. But, kind of go with the flow then.
Yeah.
It's a natural, it's a hang that's just recorded.
Yeah.
And
Whatever
hopefully
pops
there's
into
some
your
good
head,
points in
just
it.
ask it.
And sorry, last host question.
Go
of mine.
ahead.
But what's the big goal?
You know
Like-
what? It's just to.
Like if it was like legit, like genie in the bottle said, what do you want this podcast to become? Like no limitations.
To record the best conversations we can.
And like where?
me, yeah.
Like to be where is the space? Do you continue in Spotify? Does it become a YouTube show? Does it become a talk show?
Nah.
Like does it become like a Jimmy Fallon level?
Nah,
Like
I don't think so.
No.
For me, just to get great guests.
Nice.
The number one is just personal lang talaga, just to talk to
It's
people
really-
and finally get kind of inspired, hyped up the next day. Because sometimes after a podcast,
We
we're like,
message
I'm
like
still hyped
crazy.
from last night, man.
We're
Fuck.
like, who do we talk to next?
And just to learn, hear nice stories. It's maybe secondariness to really get a good following on Spotify, YouTube, hopefully earn. But the number one is just to create a good podcast that people want
I
to
love
listen
that.
to. and
I love
get
that.
inspired.
By that definition alone, you're already living the dream of this podcast. Like it's already happening. Like
Luckily,
the goal has
still
been
enjoying.
the goal is set
That's true.
and the goal has been met,
Yeah.
which is perfect. That means you're at the point where whatever happens, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
As simple as that. I love that. I feel like I think that's the golden factor that makes the conversation so rich. You're not trying to bait for something that will create virality.
No.
And I think
Not
I mean,
that's
sometimes we talk about as a joke, pero like,
Well,
no,
to be honest, there are times that you want that viral moment, but we just try to make clips out of it. But hindi. You really have to watch the whole thing to appreciate it, because you're also getting to know that person that you know this person on the surface level. You may know this just this guy, but then, wow, you didn't know that he was this kind of guy, like deep inside, that he's willing to share.
Yeah.
And I love it also that you mentioned earlier that you feel safe.
Yeah, no, I do.
And I love it because
I feel like you guys are the photographers today, and I'm just like, I love that.
Hype.
and it just made me feel good because there are times that, you know, since I'm extroverted, people tell me that, oh, wait, nice talking, dude. Like, thanks for listening to me. And that kind of validated it also.
Yeah.
Fun hang, fun talk.
Yeah.
No,
Nice
for
to
sure.
meet you. Yeah.
I love it. Like, and this is what we do. You know, we're human beings.
Yeah.
We're very, you know, we connect a lot.
Yeah.
This is what we live for.
Yeah.
We thrive for it also.
Yeah.
And it's good to just, you know, do
Yeah.
it.
Actually, a reason to hang also. I mean, we get to do this, you said, with Meg, with your wife,
Yeah.
with girlfriends, close friends, once in a while. But this one's kind of scheduled, but funny enough, it results to that same feeling that, oh, we got to... It's so classic word nga, like, we got to bond.
For sure.
And it's
Like,
time well
For
spent.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, honestly, like, I'll be completely transparent with you, and I'm completely okay with this actually coming out in the recording or not, like, whatever you see feel fit. But I've been planning out with my team a roundtable discussion for a long time.
Do it. I love those
I
videos.
love it, yeah.
Part of me is telling me to tell you guys this because I feel like you guys have to be part of it.
Damn!
Yeah. So
Dude,
Let's talk about
like
it.
Yeah,
maybe we
I'm
can
honored to like
have this
you know,
discussion.
of course,
Yeah,
we're
dude.
willing to help out.
Yeah, because what I have to say about what happened today, which is so amazing for me, is you guys don't know anything about photography, at least in the
I thought it was a
space that
weakness
I'm in.
nga, like, shit, we can't be technical.
But you were able to pull out things that even photographers and creatives don't pull out from me.
Uh-huh.
And I think that doesn't require skill, that requires a certain connection to your humanity. And I think, to be honest, that's hard to find nowadays.
Yeah.
So going back, next year, we're hoping to work on long form roundtable discussions.
Let's do it.
And I think that I think it's a really cool idea if you guys are open to collaborating.
Of course.
I think you guys have very powerful voices.
Damn.
And I think you guys have
Thank you.
yeah. And
Thank you.
very good sounding voices as well. Like not that, like the, no for sure like the girls, the ladies, and the interested men love these voices.
Hello, ladies.
Yeah, but I think we can have this conversation one day soon, where your curiosity, I'd like to apply that curiosity into the space that I know. So I'd be basically help you bring in that round table, and we'd film it very, you know, the you know those round table discussions.
Dude,
with,
that's
like,
what you
Tom-
said,
Yeah,
round table.
I know that.
I love those
I
videos.
love that, dude.
I
Kevin
love those
Hart,
discussions.
Yeah.
And you take so much, you bring so much from those little clips.
Yeah.
Like the one of Tom Hanks about like this too shall pass. Have you seen that clip?
Yeah,
Right?
I've
He just
seen
says,
that.
This too shall pass.
Yeah.
That stuck to me. And that's like what, 15 seconds of a 2-hour conversation or something.
And it resonates.
Yeah, and I feel like, why must we keep getting advice from the West, wherein right down the road are a bunch of people who have such brilliant experiences, and in the Philippines, what's just lacking is the production level to present these beautiful conversations, but more importantly is the combination of the production level and really good questions.
Yep.
Really curious questions that result to even more curious answers. And I think I can super smell something happening with us if you guys are open to it.
Dude,
I
for
love
course.
sure. I didn't expect
love
that at
it.
all, but
Yeah,
dude.
not at all.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I'm like
Damn.
killing.
Definitely.
Killing.
definitely.
Oh, I love it.
I love
super
it. I love how it's being created as we're just talking.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to this conversation
Yeah.
one day and pull it out.
Yeah. And, you know, like, let's say we do it. Then 5-10 years down the line, we do it again, just the three of us.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It's
Exactly.
it's
What how's it been? Like what's been happening?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't know, like for me and my team, so we have this thing where we talk about career goals, we talk about personal goals, but we also have another one which we call legacy goals. And I think that's we don't structure it in a very formal way, but in a way we've been able to categorize that this is a legacy goals conversation kind of thing, where we're going to talk about what imprint are you going to leave in history, because I don't understand. For me, what I don't understand is our older generations, our grandparents, our great grandparents. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to leave something to the history books.
Yeah.
They wanted their name to be on one chapter, one page in a book. And then nowadays, our generation, we just want to be viral. Sorry, like
You just want fame.
You just want fame and all of that. But like when you get there, what now?
What's
Diba?
next?
So with us, like as a team, we've established that our legacy goal is education. It's like the primary foundation of everything we're doing. From what I do with light notes to interviews, everything we do. Like for me, my personal goal, of course, is to constantly take photos and take portraits of everything. But if I'm going to be remembered in history, I don't want to be just remembered as the photographer. I want to be remembered as someone who taught next generations of photographers and be like, oh, this photographer, his life changed not because of me, but because of a little piece of writing or a little piece of education that we provided in a very, very small space in the internet. And it inspired them by a million cells. That's what I wanted. That's what we wanted to do. And I feel like you guys asked such genuine questions where I was prompted to give my genuine answers that are in the goal of educating someone one day. Like, I don't know, like maybe be it that this particular podcast hits one one listener, or it hits 1 million listeners, but only affects one person. That's all that matters.
That's fine.
That's one life.
Yeah.
Even if it's 1 out of 1 billion, it's still one person. Like your story
that you changed. I mean, change is what matters, right? And that's the goal.
Exactly.
We just want to change the world too. I mean, in whatever way, photography through this. I mean, Waves for Water is one also. Like that story really moved me, kanina.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm also the person. To be honest, I'm the person that always wants to help. My fiance always tells me, before you think of other people, think about yourself. Because once you get there, you'll be able to do so much more. So I'm like, okay, I get you. I do want to help too, but I know I have to focus also.
I love hearing that because, shout out to your wife. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name.
Say it. Say it.
Shout out to Pat.
Pre-wife.
To
Baby, I love you.
Say,
I love you, Pat P.
Like, shout out to Pat. The first time I met her, she was one of the most genuine people I had ever met. Like, there are a handful of people that I know the first encounter. Yeah. And she's one of them.
Wow.
I met her in the Cuenca gym. You guys were underneath the court. We were seated on the last set of bleachers. I was sitting down on the ground. She was seated on the bleachers. She looked at me. She asked me who I was, like in a very genuine, like trying to get to know me. I think you were in the field playing frisbee.
Most probably, maybe.
And we were just sitting down, and she was telling me how she was trying to get into it, but there was just something about her that made me want to get to know her so well. And there's just something so pure about her. So when I found out that you guys were engaged, I was like, holy shit, this is like a very, very genuinely good couple. Like good people. Like I've been your friend from afar for a long time, but ever since we were kids. And you've always been incredibly nice to me. Like, despite you not really knowing much of me. Like, Potts Isaac introduced us. We played frisbee together. We'd say hi, and every time I'd see you in town or something, it was like always a very nice way of saying hello. And I started following you on Instagram. I followed Pat on Instagram and I think on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are just such great people. So congratulations on you being
Thank you.
engaged.
That means so
Like,
much.
Yeah, like you
And you know,
real people.
that's the one. That's also one word. I mean, you said pure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's also one word that if people ask me like to describe Pat, she's pure, and you got it spot on.
Super,
You
she's
know.
super.
And I love it.
Beautiful
Artu,
soul.
thank you, brother.
You
I
are
love
a
it.
very
I love
lucky
it.
man,
I
but
love
she's
it.
also
I
very
know.
lucky.
I feel like I'm luckier because
Usually though nice and pure people are not that good looking. So there's something wrong with the balance. What the fuck? Like you're gonna make
claps. Applause.
you're gonna make like extremely beautiful babies.
Tama na. These guys are gonna sleep.
But no, thank you. I love
Cheers,
it.
yeah.
I mean, cheers to that. That's
Yeah.
Good way to end the podcast.
Yeah, very genuine,
Compliments
very
to Jen,
authentic. I love it.
Storm's on, okay? Hold on, what's this over here? Okay. What y'all holding around right now? Well, that's an M16 22. Okay. Look at this.
All black drip with the off-whites. My shit good like it's so nice. Now I'm sipping gin cause I hate wine. And I got the juice but it ain't mine. Yeah, I ain't lying. She got me so high. Gotta be mine. Shoot the 3 line. Never miss, get it this from behind. Switch up on the beat, got the green light. You'll see me.